Like, it was very organized. They knew the locations they were targeting. They knew what locations were being targeted and where they were successful. And then they were going there by the dozens and removing items and removing clothes and shoes. It was really distressing to see. And I know I've been talking to people who live in New York City, and people are scared. And they're trying to figure out, how is this going to stop, and what is going to happen tonight and in the coming days, John.
All right, those pictures are of chaos, not in any way a tribute to George Floyd, just flat-out chaos. Right. Shimon Prokopis, appreciate the reporting. Coming up for us, gets overshadowed by coronavirus and now social unrest, but today is a big election day.
We have a saying at U.S. Foods. We help you make it. You, the independent restaurants of America. We've always got your back. But through all of this, you made it happen. You made our Friday nights. You even made us dessert. So to help you get back to full strength, we're giving away free reopening kits at our website so you can safely reopen your doors. You make it.
Knock! Your Nutrisystem delivery is here. Get 50% off a month of meals and 50% off a month of shakes, with probiotics to help support your immunity. Act now to get your month of meals and shakes delivered free.
Love Latisse? Now, with Rory, you can get authentic Latisse prescribed by a doctor online. If Latisse is right for you, we'll deliver it straight to your door with free 2-day shipping. Get the Latisse you love and more with Rory. Get started with your free online visit. Get started with your free online visit today at hellorory.com/TV.
Let's be honest. Quitting smoking is hard. Like quitting every Monday hard. Quitting feels so big. So try making it smaller, and you'll be surprised at how easily starting small can lead to something big. Start stopping with Nicorette.
Once weekly Ozempic is helping many people with type 2 diabetes like James lower their blood sugar. A majority of adults who took Ozempic reached an A1C under 7 and maintained it.
Here's your A1C.
Oh, my A1C is under 7.
And you may lose weight. Adults who took Ozempic lost on average up to 12 pounds.
I lost almost 12 pounds.
Oh.
For those with major cardiovascular events such as heart attack,
It lowers the risk. Oh.
Ozempic is not for people with type 1 diabetes or diabetic ketoacidosis. Do not share needles or pens. Don't reuse needles. Do not take Ozempic if you have a personal or family history of medullary thyroid cancer, multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2, or if you are allergic to Ozempic. Stop taking Ozempic and get medical help right away if you get a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, itching, rash, or trouble breathing. Serious side effects may include pancreatitis. Tell your doctor if you have diabetic retinopathy or vision changes. Taking Ozempic with a sulfonylurea or insulin may increase low blood sugar risk. Common side effects are nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach pain, and constipation. Some side effects can lead to dehydration, which may worsen kidney problems.
Once weekly Ozempic is helping me reach my blood sugar goal.
Ask your healthcare provider today about once weekly Ozempic. We remain committed to keeping Ozempic available and affordable during these challenging times. With the Ozempic Savings Card, you may be eligible to pay as little as $25 for a 1-month or 3-month prescription.
I'm David Culver in Wuhan, China.
In Yokohama, Japan.
Lagos, Nigeria.
Stockholm. CNN, Sao Paulo, Brazil.
In Mexico City.
This is CNN.
Boy, that looks expensive. Not my problem. Not my problem. Not my problem. Hi, George Foreman and family here. And like millions of homeowners, we got tired of getting sucker punched with expensive home system and appliance repair fees.
But not anymore.
Because now for about $1 a day,
we have Choice Home Warranty.
They cover over 25 major systems and appliances, including heating, AC, plumbing, kitchen, and laundry.
And if they can't fix it, they'll replace it. We'll never pay for covered home repairs again.
Get Choice Home Warranty. Call now and get your first month free.
When your water heater, fridge, washing machine, throw in the towel.
Don't let fixing it be your problem. Call Choice Home Warranty before they break down.
Call right now for your free quote, and we'll include your first month free. Call in the next 10 minutes and get free limited roof repair coverage. Call 800-983-4 10 minutes and get free limited roof repair coverage. Call 800-983-4927. 800-983-4927.
This is CNN, the world's news network.
Closed captioning brought to you by Mesobook.com.
We offer a free book on mesothelioma. Call for the free book and receive so much more. Call 1-800-831-3700.
Today, 7 states plus Washington, D.C. holding presidential primary elections. Those states include South Dakota and New Mexico. 4 of the states, Indiana, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island, are voting today after moving their contest back because of the coronavirus pandemic. Montana changing its primary to an all-mail-in vote. You see the map right there. Joe Biden's campaign will be watching closely as we count the delegates. Former Vice President, 437 delegates short of the pledged delegates needed to mathematically clinch the Democratic nomination. There are 479 up for grabs today. Here to share the reporting and their insights, CNN's Jeff Zeleny, Politico's Laura Barone Lopez. Laura, let me start with you. The campaign is often forgotten almost because of the coronavirus pandemic and now this social unrest we see across the country because of the killing of George Floyd. Joe Biden is the presumptive Democratic nominee, but the math is almost to the finish line.
That's right. Joe Biden is nearly there, and this is the biggest election day that we've had since Super Tuesday. The big questions right now, all of that unrest that you mentioned. So states like Pennsylvania, in cities like Philadelphia, they're very worried, civil rights about how that's going to impact the ability of some to vote. Of course, all of these states allowed at least temporary absentee voting, some form of mail ballot voting. But again, whether it's coronavirus or the unrest that we're seeing across the country in states where voters are going to vote today, it's unclear what impact that could have on the final turnout.
Right, and Jeff, this is also, we're in the middle of this, it's a big primary day today, but we're in this fight about what Laura just mentioned, mail-in balloting. Right. The president repeatedly talking and tweeting in recent days, I can just show you some of it. The United States cannot have all mail-in ballots. It'll be the greatest rigged election in history. Mail-in ballots substantially increase the risk of fraud. There's no way zero. Mail-in ballots will be anything less than substantially fraudulent. Nothing there from the president is actually factual. Nothing. Mail-in voting increases turnout, and there's very little evidence of fraud. But this has become a giant flashpoint for him. And you now see reports that some Republicans are getting nervous that this might hurt them because the president is saying this is bad. And if you have mail-in balloting, whether Republicans may not participate, tells them it's bad.
John, it's fascinating. I mean, mail-in voting has been available and, in fact, used by Republicans and Democrats in states across the country for a long time. Primarily in Western states, it has been, really it is more unusual now to go to a polling place and vote on Election Day than it is to mail in your ballot in a variety of states like Arizona, like Utah. Montana, for example, the Republican Secretary of State today, he believes that everyone should have an absentee ballot, so sent them out. It is happening in states like Iowa as well, where we have our eye on a congressional seat that we'll talk about in a second. So this is something that is going to, the coronavirus pandemic has changed how we do a lot of things in the country. Voting is likely one of them, but it absolutely creates some mixed messaging. I believe it should be used. John, the reality campaign is preparing to use mail-in voting and preparing to get up to speed on this, even as the president is criticizing it, because it is a sign of the times how voting is done here. We'll see how these results come out tomorrow on this, but this, without a doubt, is, I would say, one of the bigger stories of today's election, since the Democratic primary campaign is no longer in doubt. It is how ballots are cast in America here and who has that advantage.
5 months from today is the general election. One of our questions is what will be the lead issue? If we went back to the beginning of March, we would have said it's a strong economy that helps the incumbent. If we went back 2 weeks, we would say it's the coronavirus pandemic and the president is suffering because his leadership is being questioned by the American people. Now we have the social unrest on top of it. Laura, listen to this earlier today from the former Vice President, Joe Biden, the presumptive Democrat.
The president held up the Bible at St. John's Church yesterday. I just wish he opened it once in a while instead of brandishing it. If he opened it, he could have learned something. Really hard work of America. Donald Trump is interested in doing that work.
race and what you might say the empathy divide between these two gentlemen now very much in the factor in the campaign today.
Yes, I think we can't understate how uncertain, as you mentioned, John, heading 5 months away from the election, we are about what issues are going to be the most important to the American electorate. We do know that coronavirus and the economy are going to be big factors on people's minds. And also this unrest about police brutality. And again, those very issues are hitting Black and brown people the most, specifically Black Americans. They're losing jobs than their white counterparts. And on top of it now, we see these protests and them impacted by police brutality and killings. So it's unclear whether or not that'll translate into anger and into action at the polls by African Americans. I've been talking to some organizers on the ground in states like Michigan and Pennsylvania who say that the risk sometimes around this unrest is whether or not voters who, African Americans who don't typically trust the system because they view the system as not having worked for them in many regards across generations, whether or not they view the system as not having worked for them in many regards across generations, whether or not they're encouraged by the messages we just heard from Biden to actually turn out and vote, or if they decide to stay at home because of it.
Another uncertainty in a very uncertain time. Jeff Zeleny, Laura Barone-Lopez, appreciate the reporting and insights. Moving on to some breaking news just into CNN. 6 Atlanta police officers are facing charges for using excessive force against 2 college students. This during protests on Saturday. CNN's Diane Gallagher is following this story for us. Diane?
Yeah, and John, I'm sure that people remember the video that we showed yesterday. We're not going to show it today because it is so violent and so difficult to watch, so much that when the district attorney was presenting these charges, those 2 college Pilgrim, they walked out. They could not watch it. Those 6 officers are facing a whole list of charges, including aggravated assault, simple battery, damage to property. They have until the end of the day on Friday to turn themselves in. The district attorney said that it was easy for them to kind of come to this conclusion after reviewing the evidence. He said that after the arrests were made, they talked about an officer saying that a gun had been pulled on them. He said during the incident, which is all recorded on tape through body cameras and also local media, there's never any mention of a gun whatsoever, and that no weapons were ever recovered. I want you to listen to something that the young man there, Messiah Young, said when he was speaking at the ring. He said, "I feel a little safer now that these monsters are off the street and no longer able to terrorize anyone else from this point on." John, he went on to talk about the fact that this is about police accountability, which is what so many of these protests around the country are about, and said that they hope that these charges lead to convictions there. Again, these are 6 Atlanta police officers. This incident happened on Saturday, who have since been charged with this. Now they're letting them turn themselves in, but the district attorney said that they went through the evidence and they had no choice but to charge these officers, John.
Quick action in Atlanta. We'll see how it plays out. It's a very important story. Diane Gallagher, appreciate the new reporting. Thank you very much. We'll be right back.
America's Choice 2020 Protection.
For 145 years, ADT's protected the home. Today, the world stays home to protect. So while you transform the way kids learn, test your skills to entertain, and connect with loved ones, our mission to help you feel safe has never had more meaning. And while you're home, we're providing uninterrupted service with over 5,000 technicians and 3,900 customer care and monitoring professionals here to help you stay safe while you protect the world.
Hey, allergy muddlers. Do your sneezes turn heads? Try Zyrtec. It starts working hard at hour 1 and works twice as hard when you take it again the next day. Zyrtec, muddle no more.
When managing diabetes, you can't always stop for a finger stick. With the Freestyle Libre 14-day 1-second scan, you can check your glucose phone or reader, so you can stay in the moment, no matter where you are or what you're doing. Ask your doctor for a prescription for the Freestyle Libre 14-day system. You can do it without finger sticks. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
Here's your chance to learn at home and create a rewarding career. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation right now. You could start your new life as an IT pro in months. Classes meet live online just twice a week. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu. Twice a week. It's not rocket science. It's My Computer Career.
Buy the Baxter bag for your next cleanup. Fill it with up to 3,300 pounds of household debris. Schedule collection from Waste Management and we'll pick it up whenever you're ready. The Baxter bag. Buy, fill, gone.
We have a saying at U.S. Foods. We help you make it. You, the independent restaurants of America. We've always got your back. But through all of this, you made it happen. You made our Friday nights. You even made us dessert. So to help you get back to full strength, we're giving away free reopening kits at our website so you can safely reopen your doors. For all you do, from all of us, let us help you make it.
Dating can feel like it has a lot of rules, but with eHarmony's new video date feature, you can change that. Date how you want, when you want. eHarmony and try video date today.
USAA was made for right now. Right now is a time for action. So for a second time, we're giving members a credit on their auto insurance because it's the right thing to do. We're also giving payment relief options to eligible members so they can take care of things like groceries before they worry about their insurance or credit card bills. Right now is a time to take care of what matters most, like we've done together so many times before. Discover all the ways we're helping members at usaa.com/coronavirus.
During this crisis, millions of Americans have lost their jobs, leaving many feeling stressed and anxious. And most of us just don't know how to deal with it. But we can try by taking time to look after our minds. Headspace is now free for everyone in America who's lost their job. Free for everyone in America who's lost their job. To help you get back on your feet. Headspace can't fix everything, but it can help you cope with today and whatever tomorrow brings. Be kind to your mind at headspace.com.
My jawline is really starting to droop. I get a little bit of the turkey neck.
That's right. No one wants a sagging jawline or double chin. Now you can just make them disappear. Genucel jawline treatment tightens, defines, and contours your saggy jawline in minutes.
I have spent a lot of money and tried a lot of products, and nothing has really worked as well as Genucel.
Genucel's new jawline treatment with dual peptide and MDL technology, Chamonix's most advanced technology ever. It not only tightens saggy jawline, but it plumps the lipophilic layers of your skin to contour and define the jawline within minutes.
Genucel works. Look at me.
You'll see a noticeable difference and look years younger in minutes. Call or click now to order Genucel brand new jawline treatment absolutely risk-free and get a second month for half price. Order now and you'll also get the breakthrough Genucel immediate effects for results in minutes. Go to Genucel.com now or call the number on your screen. That's Genucel.com. Genucel.com.
Public memorial and celebration of his life next Monday in Houston, the city where Mr. Floyd was raised. The professional boxer Floyd Mayweather will pay for the services according to the Floyd family release. They also say some other notable guests will be in attendance, but they have not released any details. Mayweather himself has not commented on that service just yet. Reaction today to the president's again mixing politics and religion. The president went today to the St. John Paul II Shrine in Washington, D.C. He was there with the First Lady. You see the pictures right there. The Archbishop of Washington calling it reprehensible and saying that a religious shrine is being manipulated by the president's trip there. He also said the late Pope himself would not have condoned this. This, of course, comes on the heels of the president's photo op with a Bible at a church across from the White House. In videos allegedly posted to his Facebook account on Friday, the man is seen passing out devices to protesters and encouraging them to throw the devices at police. In court Monday, he told the judge they were only fireworks. The man was arrested in Chicago Sunday morning for breaking the curfew there. He'll be transferred to Minneapolis to face charges. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you back here this time tomorrow. A very busy news day. Please stay with CNN. Brianna Keeler picks up our coverage right now.
Heather, I'm Brianna. After a solid week of nationwide over race in America,
40 million Americans unemployed, and a pandemic that is Episcopal Church. The president forcefully clearing the streets by Lafayette Park, clearing the streets of peaceful protesters, police officers, and members of the National Guard, firing tear gas and rubber bullets on hundreds of people there. And rubber bullets, people there. Protests in several cities escalating as police officers in St. Louis and Las Vegas were shot, and one officer in New York was seriously hurt by a hit-and-run driver. New York police arresting more than 700 people after storefronts were looted, bricks and bottles thrown by people, as you can see, through windows there. Today, the mayor is under fire. Too late, his critics say. Correspondent Bryn Gingras is in New York. And Bryn, the president and the New York governor have both criticized the city's response to the violence overnight. Tell us what we're hearing from officials today.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of criticism right now, Brianna, against the mayor, against the city after seeing what broke out here. It was described as just chaos. And the mayor did have a news conference this morning, essentially saying that there were small groups of people committing the looting all across this city that were part of the bigger protests. Now, while there were bigger peaceful protests, I can tell you for sure, walking around this city, seeing these areas, it's not possible to have just a small group of people committing these violent acts because there have been so many locations hit. You have Herald Square, a flagship store that was broken into despite being boarded up, Fifth Avenue, Soho, as we saw the night before, and that's what the mayor is getting really criticized harshly about. I want you to hear from the governor, who also gave a news conference and addressed this after the mayor talked this morning.
Look at the videos. It was a disgrace. I believe that. I believe the mayor underestimates the scope of the problem. I think he underestimates and I don't think they've used to address the situation, because it's inarguable, but that it was not addressed last night, right? So, facts, okay?
The governor essentially saying this is a force that is the biggest one in the country. There are 35,000 officers at this city's disposal. They need to use them. They need to create order in this city. This can't go on another night. He said he's offered up the National Guard to help NYPD, but the mayor said today he does not want that offer. He does not want to bring in the National Guard at this point. And I got to say, Brianna, I've been talking to a number of my sources, police who have been a part of these protests, even people who are higher than them, and they say that they really do need the support of City Hall. They are exhausted. They are trying to control this city. They feel like they are outnumbered, and they are hoping. Now it's 8, but I've talking to said these are people who aren't going to listen to a curfew. That curfew don't matter what time it is. It's not going to make any difference. So let's hope there is some change tonight. Brianna.
All right, we will be watching. The world will be watching. Bryn Gingras, thank you. Sirs were tear gassed so that the president could have a photo op. Police say they made 300 arrests. CNN White House correspondent Boris Sanchez is in Lafayette Park. This is the site of the protest. There are now barriers that were put up there last night. Boris, tell us what's going on.
Hey, Brianna. Yeah, a very different scene than even just a few hours ago. This intersection right outside Lafayette Park, just at the doorstep of the White House, was relatively empty just a few hours ago. Police had actually shut down traffic. They weren't even allowing protesters on the street. Now, obviously, they've taken to the front of the White House. And if you look over to our left, there's now a barrier that was put up overnight, about an 8-foot tall fence that was put up to keep protesters, demonstrators outside. A half hour before that 7 was put into place by D.C.'s mayor. Law enforcement violently pushed these protesters out of here, effectively so that President Trump could come to St. John's Episcopal Church, a historic religious landmark in Washington, D.C. Every president since James Madison has attended service here. President Trump using the occasion to hold up a Bible. Sources tell us that the president has been concerned about his support among evangelicals and among Catholics in regard to his response to the coronavirus pandemic. That's part of the reason that we saw the president go to the St. John Paul II National Shrine today. The president clearly trying to court supporters, even as there is massive unrest across the country. Brianna?
Boris, thank you for showing us the scene there. The president is waging another Twitter war now against how governors and mayors are handling protests in their cities and states. He says they should be activating the National Guard and deploying them. With me now, CNN chief political analyst Gloria Borger and CNN presidential historian Tim Naftali. With me now, CNN chief political analyst Gloria Borger and CNN presidential historian Tim Naftali. Gloria, what's the president trying to accomplish here?
Well, I think what the president is doing is what he's done his entire presidency, which is reach out to his base rather than trying to unite the entire country. And in doing that, and in staging this sophomoric stunt that he did last night by walking outside, brandishing the Bible, and then walking back, what he did was call for law and order. Today, we heard him tweet about the silent majority. Tim Naftali knows more about this than I do, but that certainly sounds Nixonian to me. Going back to the 60s and the 70s and trying to recreate that moment for himself without realizing that the country has moved all of this, Brianna, himself, in the service of what he believes will help his political fortune, rather than what's going to unite the country in this moment, and creating, I believe, one of the lowest moments in American political history last night.
It is possible,
presidential
Gloria.
history, I should say.
American presidential history, which is Tim Naftali's forte. So, Tim, let's talk about when you see how this fits into how other presidents have handled protests.
Well, I think it's helpful at such a difficult, traumatic moment to contrast the behavior of our president yesterday with what another president did. The day after Martin Luther King Jr. was killed, and the day after the first of 4 nights of riots took place in Washington, D.C., Lyndon Johnson wrote a letter to the 2 leaders in the House, Speaker McCormick, a Democrat, and Gerald Ford, the House Minority Leader. And he said, at a moment like this, all good men should ask themselves, what more can 2 days later, that's the Senate open housing bill, the Civil Rights Bill of 1968. We talk about bipartisanship in this country, and I think we often misunderstand what that means. It doesn't mean that you have an ideological bridge among the 2 parties. It's that people of conscience exist in both parties and share some basic principles. In 1968, you had a Congress and a president who understood there was a deep problem in American society, and that the disorder couldn't be solved by cracking down and restoring order. That the disorder was a reflection of a virus, a political virus, racism. That's missing now. And the president yesterday decided that the way to calm the waters was to show dominance over one park, Lafayette Park. It was a stunt, but it was a stunt that reflects his understanding of our political moment. His understanding that he has a party behind him that does not recognize that there are structural inequalities, that the COVID-19 virus hit harder certain neighborhoods because of legacies. No. What he saw was that he could get the support of people and possibly be reelected simply by pretending he's a dictator. That's the moment. And possibly be reelected simply by pretending he's a dictator. That's the moment we're in. And that's what makes him so different from all of his predecessors in the modern era.
And Gloria, to that point, I mean, when you think there were things that he, I guess, utilized here over the last day to create this kind of aura of a dictatorship. And yet at the same time, you know, this is a country that is deeply entrenched as not a dictatorship. So he can create this look on television in a moment, and he seems to push the envelope on this every day. But even with people around him either being complicit or silent in his tactics, the machine of the country doesn't really work in this way. And I think in terms of, you know, a president's only in power 4 or 8 years.
Right. Well, the governors, cameras are rolling, Brianna. We saw what happened in Lafayette Park last night. We saw peaceful protesters being gassed so the president could take a stroll. And so he could pose for the cameras because he was apparently upset, according to our reporting, that he had been spirited away to the bunker the other night because of the demonstrations in Lafayette Park. He didn't like that imagery. So he had to create the strongman image of himself marching across the park. No masks in the middle of a pandemic, of course, and then just holding up that Bible rather than reading from it, rather than quoting scripture, rather than praying, but just holding it up as if to send some kind of signal, maybe to his evangelical supporters. I'm with you. Everything this president does has a meaning insofar as his own personal political fortune come November. It is not about uniting the country. It is about uniting his base behind him.
Yeah, and it is a symbol. Look, we know he's not well versed in the Bible, right? We've seen that in the past when he's addressed religious crowds and talked about the Bible. That in the past when he's addressed religious crowds and talked about the Bible. So just to be clear on that. Gloria, thank you so much. Tim Naftali, thank you. We're learning right now that there was deep concern and discomfort among some at the Pentagon over the president's threat to use the military as his own personal police force against protesters. And the Virginia governor chose to not send his state's National Guard troops to counter protesters in D.C. We'll tell you why. Plus, the family of George Floyd is told to expect more charges soon against the other 3 officers involved in his death.
This is my body of proof. Proof I can fight moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis. Proof I can fight psoriatic arthritis.
With Humira.
Proof of less joint pain.
And clearer skin in PSA.
Humira targets and blocks a source of inflammation that contributes to joint pain and irreversible damage.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections. Serious and sometimes fatal infections, including tuberculosis and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. And if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Humira is proven to help stop further joint damage.
Want more proof? Ask your rheumatologist about Humira citrate-free.
If you can't afford your medicine, AbbVie may be able to help.
I had no idea how much I was spending on monthly subscriptions. Truebill showed me exactly how many I had and made it so easy to cancel all of them.
I was able to recognize things I was wasting money on every month. The amount of things it can do for you, like canceling services, negotiating bills, having all your accounts in one view all together.
Truebill saved me major cash. It's all just organized in a way that makes sense.
Anyone who is having trouble keeping track of their finances or subscriptions needs this app.
We're a different breed, aren't we? Work. Are content. We stay hungry. They may not see us coming, but we know exactly where we're going. You won't rest until you succeed. Neither will we.
Look, this isn't my first rodeo. And let me tell you something. I wouldn't be here if I thought reverse mortgages took advantage of any American senior. Or worse, that it was some way to take your home. It's just a loan designed for older homeowners, and it's helped over 1 million Americans. A reverse mortgage loan isn't some kind of trick to take your home. It's a loan, like any other. Big difference is how you pay it back.
Find out how reverse mortgages really work with AAG's free no-obligation reverse mortgage guide. Eliminate monthly mortgage payments, pay bills, medical costs, and more. Call 741-0177.
Other mortgages are paid each month, but with a reverse mortgage, you can pay whatever you can when it works for you. Or you can wait and pay it off in one lump sum when you leave your home.
Discover the option that's best for you. Call today and find out more in AAG's free no-obligation reverse mortgage loan guide. Access tax-free cash and stay in the home you love.
You've probably been investing in your home for years, making monthly mortgage payments, doing the right thing. And it's become your family's heart and soul. Well, that investment can give you tax-free cash just when you need it.
Learn how homeowners are strategically using a reverse mortgage loan to cover expenses, pay for health care, preserve your portfolio, and so much more.
Look, reverse mortgages aren't for everyone, but I think I've been around long enough to know what's what. I'm proud to be a part of AAG. I trust them. I think you can too.
Trust AAG for the best reverse mortgage solutions. Call 1-800-741-0177. So you can
retire better.
Closed captioning brought to you by Christian Faith Publishing. Tell your story and get your book published today.
Are you a Christian author with a book that you're ready to share with the world?
Get published now. Call for your free publisher kit today.
1-800-552-2176.
Memorial services have been announced for George Floyd. There will be 2 public services, the first of which is Thursday in Minneapolis, and these are organized by the National Action Network. A second public and private memorial service planned for next Monday and Tuesday in Floyd's hometown of Houston. These were announced by the family. They will be paid for. Results of an independent autopsy are in, and they contradict the official medical examiner report except on one issue. Both reports call Floyd's death a homicide on how exactly he died. Let's bring in CNN's Omar Jimenez. He's in Minneapolis with more on these dueling autopsies. I mean, this is really important, right? What is the truth when it comes to the death of George Floyd? And here we have these 2 different reports, which we've seen in other cases as well, Omar.
That's right, Brian. It's going to play a major role in how the actions in this case are viewed. We're at the intersection where George Floyd's final moments played out 8 days ago now. And as you may be able to hear, the mood is more a celebration of life as officials are trying to piece together how that life, them concluding that the actions that were taken or what happened to George Floyd was a homicide. But when you look at the independent autopsy commissioned by the family, that one attributes that death to asphyxia. But when you look at the Hennepin County Medical Examiner's autopsy report, that one is contributing it to heart failure, essentially. That one also mentions, I should note, that there was fentanyl and meth that was in the system, but it did not say how much was in Floyd's system and whether that had a direct impact on his death. And we talk about the effects that it could have moving forward. It would really affect how they look at the criminality and the actions taken here, either for the officer or former officer already charged in this, Officer Derek Chauvin, but then also the 3 that have not charged in this, Officer Derek. But then also the 3 that have not faced charges just yet. Those decisions are still pending. We heard from the Minnesota Attorney General, Keith Ellison, who is heading this investigation and says that while they are still trying to get all the pieces together to conduct as thorough an investigation as possible, he said that when we are ready, and that won't be long from now, we plan on taking the proper and deliberate action. And until that's taken, we are likely to continue seeing protests that here in Minneapolis have become increasingly peaceful over the course of the past few days, especially last night into today. And it was yesterday afternoon that the family of George Floyd came to, again, this exact location, Terrence Floyd, the brother, and said he has seen the images of violence and looting, but says if he's not doing it, why are other people? We have to do this another way, of course, ahead of the memorial on Thursday, Brianna, and funeral proceedings early next week.
Yeah, that was a beautiful moment yesterday with Terrence Floyd. Omar, thank you for your report from Minneapolis. And just into CNN, arrest warrants while arresting 2 college students. This was an encounter that was caught on police body cam, and I want to warn you, this may be very disturbing to you. It was disturbing to me. Tania Pilgrim, who is a Spelman College student, and Messiah Young, a student at Morehouse College, were tased and violently yanked from their car by several Atlanta police officers Saturday night during this civil unrest. The couple said they were going to get food when they got caught up in traffic from protests, and they were trying to leave the downtown area when the citywide curfew kicked in. 2 of the officers have already been fired. CNN's Diane Gallagher is following this developing story. She has more on the charges. This was very quick. Tell us about these charges, Diane.
It was quick, but I'm going to tell you, we were in the room with Tania Pilgrim and Messiah Young as the district attorney announced those charges against those 6 officers. Messiah Young had a cast on his arm. His wrist and his arm were fractured. He needed 24 stitches. And the video, they played it in there. Both of them had to get up and leave because it was too difficult to watch. It's too hard for me to watch. Those 6 Atlanta police officers, I'm going to read their names to you right now. Attorney is charging each of them with various assault, battery, and damage to property. And he said that he looked at the evidence, and he looked at things like after the fact, they claimed that a gun had been pulled on the officers. But it's all caught on camera. Police, body camera, and a local news station. There's no mention of a gun whatsoever. No gun was recovered. I want you to listen to what Messiah Young had to say afterward about how he feels about these announcements.
I'm happy they're finally being held accountable, and all I can say is I hope every police officer who thinks it's okay to drag someone, beat someone, do all this stuff because they're cops, I hope they're all gonna be held accountable as well.
I feel a little safer now that these monsters are off of the street and no longer able to terrorize anyone else. Are off of the street and able to terrorize anyone else.
And of course, that was Tania Pilgrim at the beginning. Now, the police officers have until Friday at the end of the day, Brianna, to turn themselves in.
All right, Diane, thank you so much for bringing their words to us. President Trump wants to use the military to quell protests across the country, but what are the long-term consequences this extraordinary move could have on the military's relationship with communities of color and with all Americans? Plus, reaction from religious leaders to the president's photo op at a church, including one bishop who called it baffling and reprehensible.
I just love hitting the open road and telling people that Liberty Mutual customizes your insurance, so you only pay for what you need.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Thanks for having us this weekend, Mrs. Gar.
Did you bring them? The condoms.
What's up?
Condoms, Charlie. She wants to know if you brought any condoms.
Yeah, I brought some.
Eargo, a virtually invisible hearing loss solution with high-quality sound and lifetime support.
Eargo offers free phone-based hearing checks and consultations, all from the convenience of your home. Call today.
Was that your grandfather, leading armies to battle?
Was that your great aunt, keeping armies alive?
Drafting the plans. Taking the pictures.
Was it your family members who flew?
Who fixed?
Who fought? Who rose to the occasion
when the world needed them most?
Find and honor your ancestors who served in World War II. Their stories live on at Ancestry.
Out here, each new day is an opportunity to enjoy what's around you.
to take pride in your land, to fire up reasons to be together, to collect new memories, and grow in fresh ways. With all that's changed, you've continued to live life out here to the fullest. So in more than 1,800 communities, we're here with everything you need to bring on the new day. Tractor Supply, everything you need for life out here.
Veterans, how today's incredibly low rates at New Day USA. New Day's VA Streamline Refi is the quickest and easiest refi they've ever offered. You can lower your payments by this time next month without having to verify your income, without getting your home appraised, and there's no money out of pocket. Call New Day right now.
Call 1-888-670-1059.
Oh, hey. Buying a car from Vroom is so easy, all you need is a finger. Just scroll through amazing hand-picked low-mileage cars, then tap to buy. That's it. No sales speak, no wasted time. Just straight-up great cars. Right from your phone to your driveway. Go to Vroom.com and pick your favorite. With Vroom, you can buy a car from home and have it delivered contact-free. Plus, you have 7 days to return it. Vroom. Get in.
What if you could go into the past, back before the fishing line was cast, to see that it was sustainable wild caught, so you can feel good about the fish that you bought? We know the story of all the fish that we've sold, because that's what makes us whole.
Hot. No, there's no space there. Maybe you were here? Oven mitts. Oven mitts. Everything's stuck in the drawers. I'm sorry. Oh, geez.
Hi.
Kelly Clarkson.
Try Wayfair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's gonna help you with all of this. Yeah, here you go.
Thank you.
Oh, I like that one.
Whoa.
That's a lot of storage.
Perfect.
You're welcome.
I love it. How did you do all this?
Wayfair. That's a lot of storage.
I love it. How did you do all this?
Wayfair. Speaking of dinner, what are we eating, guys?
I'm David Culver in Wuhan, China, Tokyo, Japan,
CNN Seoul,
Hong Kong,
Istanbul,
in Athens, Greece, in northern Italy,
in Copenhagen, Denmark,
Madrid, Spain,
CNN, Paris, in London, and this is CNN.
As a family with a mortgage and a kid, we've been thinking about life insurance for a few months.
Years.
But between agents and medical exams, it just seemed like a lot. Then I found Ethos Life. We found Ethos Life. You answer a few short questions on ethoslife.com and boom, instant quote. No commissioned agents and often no medical exams. No hassle. Now we know that if something would happen, our home and family are financially secure.
I found Ethos.
Get a free personalized quote at ethoslife.com.
People who Home Chef make delicious homemade food look entirely too easy. It's almost like these geniuses have never felt frustrated with meal planning. Like they've never known struggle in the kitchen. Maybe it's because between the easy recipes and the oven-ready dinners, Home Chef makes delicious food simple. Get $30 off. Home Chef. Delicious meets simple.
I'm Omar Jimenez in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and this is CNN.
As cities across the U.S. struggle to deal with protests, looting, and violence, President Trump is threatening to use the military as his own personal police force. He is promising to invoke an archaic law, the Insurrection Act of 1807, if state and city leaders do not restore order. So if you're not familiar with this more than 200-year-old act, it's because it's rarely been used during our lifetime. Most recently, it was invoked in 1992 to quell the L.A. riots after 4 white police officers were acquitted in the beating of Rodney King. Before that, it was used in the 1950s to enforce desegregation and in the 1960s to address riots in Detroit. I want to bring in Colonel Cedric Layton. He is a CNN military analyst.
Using these people who are not trained in the same kind of enforcement techniques that domestic police agencies are trained in and putting them right in the middle of something like this. The big deal is that it can pit the things that are thrown at them, whether it's from a riot or a natural disaster or something like this. So when you invoke something like the Insurrection Act, it's not putting people in from the military into harm's way the way they would be to harm's way in a foreign country. What it's actually doing is it is using these people who are often not trained in the same kind of law enforcement techniques that domestic police agencies are trained in, and putting them right in the middle of something like this. The big deal is that it can pit the American military against our own population, and that is something that we don't want to see, and most military members wouldn't want to see either.
And it's not pitting the military against the population writ large, right? It's pitting it against a group that is predominantly African American, that is predominantly not fans of President Trump. These are certainly not people that he would consider to be political allies and in his tent of support. What is
there is if the military is a part of one political side versus another, it's going to cause others to perceive that the military has taken sides politically, and that is a really big problem. And if the military is used against minority communities like African American communities, other communities of color, then it's going to not only have a really bad impact on community relations with that particular community, but it is also going to cut the path of recruitment for potential military recruits from that community into the U.S. military. And what that does to the U.S. military is it actually takes a major talent pool away from the military and makes the military far less effective than it currently is, makes it really far less able to handle the kinds of foreign military situations that it is built for.
And you believe that this could erode the civilian-military bond the country has built over the past 4 decades. Explain that to us.
So the military bond, military-civilian bond, is something that's very, very special. People who grew up during the Vietnam era remember when the military was not held in as high a regard as it is today. The military has a special place in American society and in American culture. And what's interesting about the civil-military relationship in the United States is that that civil-military relationship is based on a volunteer force, a democratic system that takes people who want to join the military and allows them, if they so choose, to make a career out of that. The military is respected because of how it has behaved, how it has professionalized itself, and how it is able to interact with all elements of society. And how it is able to interact with all elements of society. If that disappears, then what we're going to end up with is a military that really doesn't have the kind of military support that it really needs to have in order to be effective. And it would go back to the situation in the 1960s where the military, which by the way was not an all-volunteer force, was really derided in many quarters for not being a professional force. And that is something we don't want to see ever again.
And one of the things is the military, right? Members of the military, they are there to serve their country. They serve on the orders of the commander-in-chief. Many of them hold personal and disparate political views, but it is in their code that they do not, that's not something that they are public about. What does this do to people in the armed forces? I know on social media traffic, there are people who think that members of the military being forced to carry out very divisive policies.
Well, I think, Brianna, the potential is that this could be something that could divide the military, just like the military was divided in the run-up to the American Civil War in the 1860s. That is something you really don't want to see. And you're right, the American military contains people of every political stripe, every ethnic group, and they bring a whole bunch of diverse opinions, a whole bunch of different ways of doing things into the military. And the military is able, in each of the 6 services, to forge a very unique bond among people from very different backgrounds. If we pit each other against each other, that's going to be a major problem. That's going to be something that can destroy those bonds of cohesion that have made the American military such an effective force. And it is also something that plays, frankly, into the hands of our rivals. And that's not what we want to see from the United States. The hands of our rivals. And that's what we want to see from the United States viewpoint.
All right, Colonel, thank you so much. Colonel Cedric Layton, we appreciate the conversation.
You bet, Brianna, anytime.
Coming up, a Christian scholar who says President Trump is using the church and the Bible as a, quote, racist prop.
We have a saying at U.S. Foods. We help you make it. You, the independent restaurants of America. We've always got your back. But through all of this, you made it happen. You made our Friday nights. You even made us dessert. So to help you get back to full strength, we're giving away free reopening kits at our website so you can safely reopen your doors. For all you do, from all of us, let us help you make it.
T-Mobile. We're building a 5G network that will deliver unprecedented reach and reliability and the highest capacity in history. With more coverage and more bandwidth to keep your employees connected, you'll get the largest and most reliable network at an unbeatable price. T-Mobile for Business.
When you walk into an Amazon fulfillment center, it's like walking into the chocolate factory and you want a golden ticket. All of these are face masks. This looks like a bottle of vodka. When we first got these, we were like, whoa! My 3-year-old, when we get a box delivered, got these, we were like, whoa! My 3-year-old, when we get a box delivered, screams, Mommy's work. Mommy's work? With this pandemic, safety is even more important to make sure we go home safe every single day.
Experian has free tools to help with your credit, like your free credit report, your FICO score for free, and free credit monitoring and alerts. Download the free Experian app now.
At Leaf Filter, we're on a never-ending journey to end gutter cleaning forever. Whoa! Way too dangerous, Bill. Say goodbye to that ladder. Way too clogged, Melissa. Those black gutters are causing serious damage to your home. Look at these cracks in your foundation. Leaf Filter, the nation's #1 rated gutter protection system, will keep you safe and protect your home. Except for water. No more leaves or debris in your gutters for the life of your home. Schedule your free gutter inspection and estimate, just like Paul. With Leaf Filter's lifetime warranty, we guarantee you'll never have to clean those nasty gutters again. Everybody okay with free Leaf Filter? Or go to getleaf.com for your free gutter inspection and estimate. Act now and save 15% off your purchase.
It only takes a second for an everyday item to become dangerous. Tide Pod's Child Guard Pack helps keep your laundry packs in a safe place and your child safer. To close, twist until it clicks. Tide Pod's Child Guard Packaging.
Here's huge news for veterans with VA loans. Mortgage rates have dropped to all-time lows. By refinancing now, you can save $2,000 a year. And New Day's VA Streamline Refi shortcuts the process. Veterans can refinance with no income verification, no appraisal, and no out-of-pocket costs.
Call 1-888-909-0574.
Listen to that steak sizzle. Thick, juicy, full of mouth-watering flavor. Steak is what your dad really wants for Father's Day, but no ordinary steak will do. Your father deserves the world-famous Kansas City steaks, and now you can order them delivered right to his front door. Kansas City Steaks offers strips, fillets, ribeyes, all big, bold, and full of mouth-watering flavor. Taste, it matters. Father's Day is just around the corner. When you order today, we'll guarantee delivery in time for the big day. Call or go online now to select your Father's Day gift from a huge variety. Act right now and use promo code DAD to receive 15% off and free shipping. Steak is what your dad really wants, and Kansas City steaks are gifts that sizzle. Call 1-800-98-STEAK. That's 1-800-987-8325. Or visit kansascitysteaks.com.
It's all we do. With 9 offices across the country, let us come meet with you. Call us at 1-800-213-8000.
The president making another photo op stop at a religious site today. He and the First Lady visited the St. John Paul II National Shrine in Washington this morning. The Archbishop of Washington saying that it's baffling and reprehensible that the shrine is being egregiously misused and manipulated in a fashion that violates our religious principles. A follow-up to the unsettling scene that played out at a church yesterday where the president marched from the White House to St. John's Episcopal Church, walking on the same ground where peaceful protesters had been just moments before when they were driven back by tear gas, rubber bullets, and blunt force at the hands of police and military police. The president then posed in front of the church and held up a Bible for a photo op. A Bible, he said. Asked if it was his Bible, he said it's a Bible. This moment drew outrage from the bishop of that very church.
This was a charade that in some ways was meant to bolster a message that does nothing to calm the soul and to reassure the nation that we can recover from this moment, which is what we need from a president. Is what we need from a president.
Diana Butler-Bass joins us now. She is an author. She's also a historian of Christianity. And Diana, thank you for joining us. Tell us what you make of the president using
that is usually the background towards a speech about unity or the brotherhood and sisterhood of the American people or something to do with justice. And what happened yesterday was not that. The president used St. John's Episcopal Church as a backdrop for a message which is indeed at odds with both the church he was standing in front of and the Bible he was holding up.
And you have a bit of a personal connection here. I know that a friend of your daughter's was there outside of the White House, and she told you
watching television, and she said, well, a friend of hers was at this protest, a friend who had been holding up a Black Lives Matter sign, and just all of a sudden the National Guard appeared from nowhere and they were gassed and sent down the street. And so we heard about it directly from someone who was there. And then, of course, the president walked across from the White House and stood in front of the church. It didn't even say anything, simply held up the Bible and seemed to want to use that to rally people to his law and order cause.
Diana Butler-Bass, thank you so much for joining us. We really need the perspective. Thank you. Looters, protesters, and police clashing on New York City streets last night, including who was run over in a hit and run. Plus, the most comprehensive data to date that shows masks and social distancing help prevent the spread of coronavirus.
USAA was made for right now. Right now is a time for action. So for a second time, we're giving members a credit on their auto insurance because it's the right thing to do. We're also giving payment relief options to eligible members so they can take care of things like groceries before they worry about their insurance or credit card bills. Right now is a time to take care of what matters most, like we've done together so many times before. Discover all the ways we're helping members at usaa.com/coronavirus.
Hello and welcome to the biggest auto protection show on earth, brought to you by CarShield. I'm your host, Chris Berman. If your car is out of warranty or close to expiring, CarShield makes sure you don't have to pay for expensive auto repairs. That's why I'm a customer. Let's catch up with the action, where happy customers have saved thousands on car repairs.
The first 3 months, we saved $4,100.
CarShield saved me over $6,000 in engine repairs.
Those repair bills never had a chance. Look at those Hall of Fame dance moves. Saving money on expensive car repairs with CarShield will do that to you.
It's like having a suit of
Saving money on expensive car repairs with CarShield will do that to you.
It's like having a suit of armor around my car.
Worry about being taken advantage of when it comes to car repairs.
We're just happy with CarShield. They put a transmission in it and a motor. Who does that?
When your car's check engine light comes on, that could spell big trouble for you and your wallet. An engine, transmission, or computer system breakdown could cost you thousands of dollars. But with CarShield, you'll never pay on covered repairs. CarShield covers practically all makes and all models, new or used.
When it comes to protecting you from expensive repairs, there's a new sheriff in town. CarShield is rumbling and tumbling all over that repair bill. Goodbye expensive car repairs and hello savings. This guy just scored the CarShield hat trick. That's towing, roadside assistance, and rental coverage at no extra cost. That's what I call MVP protection. Don't get stuck paying for those expensive repairs. Call CarShield and tell them the Swami sent you.
Now it's the time to make the smart choice and protect yourself from sky-high auto repair bills. Call now for a free and instant protection plan quote. It's only a matter of time until repairs are needed. And once you're...
This crisis is affecting all of us. Our mental health is suffering, and most of us just don't know how to deal with it. But we can try with tools to look after our mind. A moment to breathe, mindful workouts for those feeling trapped, solutions to sleep more soundly. And now, we're helping unemployed Americans get back on their feet. Headspace can't fix everything, but it can help you cope with today and whatever tomorrow brings. Be kind to your mind at headspace.com.
One murder, 5 key players.
Homicide by gunshot.
If somebody calls and says, we have your guy.
The Killer Truth. Back-to-back episodes starting Sunday at 9 Eastern on HLN.
My hair loss was a reminder of my age. Like, is this happening to me now? When I started first seeing results, I got excited. I love my new hair.
It makes me feel a lot more confident.
The things I love about Roman are the simplicity, the confidentiality, and the fact that it works.
When we started our business, we were paying like an arm and a leg for the postage. I remember setting up ShipStation. I think it was just like 1 or 2 clicks. Everything was up and running. I was printing out labels and saving money.
ShipStation saves us so much time. It makes it really easy and seamless. Pick an order, print everything you need.
I was printing out labels and saving money.
ShipStation saves us so much time. It makes it really easy and seamless. Pick an order, print everything you need, slap the label onto the box, and it's ready to go.
Our cost for shipping, like, we're cut in half, just like that.
ShipStation, the #1 choice of online sellers. Go to shipstation.com/try and get 2 months free.
Are you sick and tired of looking and feeling heavy? ProbioSlim promotes healthy digestion and helps you lose weight. Patented probiotics ease constipation, gas, and bloating, while powerful EGCG burns fat and calories. Unleash your potential with ProbioSlim, the #1 probiotic fat burner at Walmart.
I'm Sarah Seidner in Minneapolis. This is CNN.
All right, we're keeping our eye here on, this is the area near One Police Plaza in Lower Manhattan. You can see that there is a peaceful protest going on right now. And we're listening in here as we can try to hear what some of the protesters are saying. You can see they seem to be gathered over there on the far side of view. And we're going to keep an eye on this. You see the peaceful protesters, they're walking, they have signs. Plaza, the headquarters for the police, New York City, for the NYPD. So we'll be keeping an eye on this, and we'll revisit this as we see developments there. Amid all of the scenes of unrest and chaos as protests have erupted across the country in the wake of the death of George Floyd, have been these touching moments between law enforcement and protesters. In Fort Worth, Texas, at the end of a tense confrontation between police and protesters, there was this. Instead of arresting the demonstrators for breaking curfew, the Fort Worth police chief kneeled and prayed with protesters.
I think it's a good step. I hope it was meaningful. I hope that the people here saw our hearts. We certainly saw their hearts and that they were hurting.
CNN's Tom Foreman has been across the country.
Just minutes after the president promised a crackdown, Denver's chief of police was on the move with protesters in body and spirit.
Working together is the only way we can get through this.
Police in Minnesota are stopping traffic for protesters. Cops in Oregon kneeling with them. In Georgia, too. And in Indiana, this was the scene outside the governor's mansion.
We're here to serve the community.
It goes both ways. That is a Target store in New York, and those are not standing up to potential looters and vandals, telling them to go away. And that is happening in communities all across the land.
People work too hard. You ain't gonna do it in front of me. Pushing the gate. Don't push the gate. Stop.
Amid the images of destruction, these moments of people incongruously fighting to keep the peace are captivating. In D.C., a hooded man is breaking up pavement, what some have thrown. Protesters rush him. In moments, they strip away his mask and drag him to the police, yelling, "Take him, he's yours."
I want to make this a parade, not a protest.
And on it goes. In one community after another, many police and protesters are finding ways to lower and embrace the moment.
What we had tonight was a peaceful protest, and us joining them in a symbolic way to kind of recognize what had happened, that's the least we can do.
In some cases, even comforting each other.
I'm hurt, same way you hurt, like everybody out here is hurt.
These quiet little acts of kindness and pleas for peace are easily lost amid all the noise, but they are occurring everywhere, giving hope to those looking for someone to lean on amid the fear and fury. Tom Foreman, CNN, Bethesda, Maryland.
I know I certainly needed that. We have some breaking news. We're keeping an eye here on these live pictures. So this is coming to us. This is a peaceful gathering, Police Plaza, police headquarters there in New York City for the NYPD. And you're seeing people walking by, carrying signs. It appears most of the people that we're seeing, well, not that gentleman, are wearing masks. There is a large crowd here after a very tough night in New York City. What are we seeing here on the left? Oh, this is Los Angeles on the left. Police headquarters there. So you're seeing another gathering of peaceful protesters there on the West Coast. We will be keeping an eye on these pictures of peaceful protests from coast to coast. We'll take a quick break and be right back.
When managing diabetes, you can't always stop for a finger stick. With the Freestyle Libre 14-day system, a continuous glucose monitor, you don't have to. With a painless 1-second scan, you can check your glucose with a smartphone or reader, so you can stay in the moment, no matter where you are or what you're doing. Ask your doctor for a prescription for the Freestyle Libre 14-day system. You can do it without finger sticks. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
With VA mortgage rates suddenly dropping to near record lows, my team at New Day USA is helping more veterans refinance than ever. The New Day VA Streamline Refi is the reason why. It lets you shortcut the loan process and refinance with no income verification. All can save you $2,000 every year. Call my team at New Day USA right now.
One call can save you $2,000. Call 1-888-909-0579.
Out here, each new day is an opportunity to enjoy what's around you, to take pride in your land, to fire up reasons to be together, to collect new memories, and grow in fresh ways. With all that's changed, you've continued to live life out here to the fullest. So in more than 1,800 communities, we're here with everything you need to bring on the new day. Tractor Supply, everything you need for life out here.
Today, when you bank, shop, or browse online, you're more exposed than now one. Get action on Norton.com.
I had no idea how much I was spending on monthly subscriptions. Truebill showed me exactly how many I had and made it so easy to cancel all of them.
I was able to recognize things I was wasting money on every month. The amount of things it can do for you, like canceling services, negotiating bills, having all your accounts in one view all together.
Truebill saved me major cash. It's all just organized in a way that makes sense.
Anyone who is having trouble keeping track of their finances or subscriptions needs this app.
This is Fracture. Just upload an image, place your order, and it'll show up at your door, beautifully printed directly on glass. And this isn't just another frame, not just another canvas. This is new. This is a Fracture. Visit FractureMe.com and print one today.
As a struggling actor, I need all the breaks that I can get. At Liberty Buchenwald.
Cut.
Liberty Buchenwald.
So you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Want to eat better while staying in? Meet Freshly. We're here to help with chef-cooked meals ready in minutes. Skip the shopping, cooking, and cleaning, and get meals delivered fresh, not frozen, right to your door. Build your weekly menu today at Freshly.com.
You are seeing rocks being thrown and that being met with tear gas.
This is a much different scene than what we saw last night.
The tensions go up. It is increasingly worrisome.
Do you mind telling me why I'm under arrest, sir?
Coronavirus. Stay informed with the facts. Join Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
We truly are all in this together.
For CNN's new podcast, Coronavirus, Fact versus Fiction. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Time for new reading glasses? Go to readers.com.
Wherever you get your podcasts.
Time for new reading glasses? Go to readers.com. Choose from hundreds of styles and colors for under $20. And now, enter this exclusive TV coupon code at checkout to save up to 40%. That's readers.com.
I got this mountain bike for only $11.
DealDash.com, the fair and honest bidding site. An iPad worth $505 was sold for less than $24, a PlayStation 4 for less than $16, and a Schultz 4K television for less than $2.
I want these Bluetooth headphones for $20.
I got these 3 suitcases for less than $40.
And shipping is always free.
Go to DealDash.com right now and see how much you can save.
A debit card and app designed to help them develop habits, to teach them how to save and encourage them to set their own goals. Now imagine the difference it could make in their lives, in their futures. Greenlight.
I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, and this is CNN.
Let's head back now to some live pictures that we're seeing in New York there on the right side of your screen, Los Angeles on the left side of your screen. Peaceful protesters gathering at police headquarters in both of these cities. CNN's Shimon Prokupez is joining me now on the phone from New York. Tell me about the protest that we're seeing in New York.
It is peaceful. It is these protests, these marches, that the police are allowing to proceed. You see protesters on the street. Police are closing traffic off. People all around coming in office buildings, to offer their support. And so now there are thousands. They are marching through lower Manhattan into looks like north, so they're heading uptown. But you see the signs, you see the chants, no justice, no peace, and it's peaceful. And the police department has said that they are going to allow this to proceed. And they do. You see police here they're on the outskirts. They're on the outside of these protesters. They're in the front, they're in the back, but they are allowing them to proceed through the streets. It's a very large protest, as you can see. I mean, there's thousands of people cheering, holding up signs, Black Lives Matter, justice for George Floyd, and you're seeing older people here, younger people here, black people, white people. You're seeing just a mix of all kinds of people really coming together in action and wanting change. And these are the things that the mayor and the NYPD said they want to see. They want to see secrecy. They want to come out and voice their opinion, and they're going to allow it. What we see late at night, as we did last night, is much different than what we're seeing here at the moment, Brianna.
That's right. And can you tell us what people are chanting? And I was going to comment on, just as we were sort of people watching of this protest with people walking by, just like you said, Shimon, it is a very diverse crowd. And I think we're seeing someone walk away who must be only 14 or 15 years old, it looks like. Tell us what you're hearing the crowd say.
Black Lives Matter. Chanting. The majority of the people I'm seeing are actually wearing masks, and there is a mix of people, and it's peaceful. And they're walking. You're seeing signs of no justice, no peace, power to the people. So you are seeing people who are either I've covered many demonstrations here in New York City, across the country. And this is typically what we see here in New York City. I covered demonstrations during the Eric Garner, after the Eric Garner incident, and they were peaceful. And this can go on for hours. And as long as people are peaceful, the police have said they're going to. They've now walked maybe 15 blocks. That's how wide these protesters, how wide this march goes. And it's going to go. And they can keep going here. The NYPD is not going to stop them. They're going to allow them to proceed. And, you look at the crowd, and it's just people who are happy to be together and to try to bring change. And that's what we're seeing here.
And tell us, this follows obviously a very hard night in New York City. A police officer who was injured very seriously. Tell us about that. Yeah, so this police officer was hit by a car. The video is horrific. He was responding to a burglary call, and it was looters. And this was a big problem through the night here in New York City for hours, and I'm talking several hours. It started around 7 p.m. Last night, and it went through I got home around 2 in the morning, and it was going on, where police were chasing looters around, trying to get a handle on the situation, and it was just chaos. At one point, the only people on the street were looters and the police, and it was amazing in some ways, just remarkable to watch how people, these looters who came to New York City, some of them from out of state. Remarkable to watch these looters who came to New York City, some of them from out of state. They were in cars with out-of-state license plates, several people in cars with duffel bags. I saw a person walking around with a bat. It was well after the curfew. The curfew was at 11 p.m. last night, as you know, and people, looters, were still walking the streets, and the police were just standing around trying to guard property, buildings and stores that had already been broken into, making arrests, trying to make more arrests, and it really was a chaotic night for the police. And it seemed in some ways unmatched. This was an organized effort. The looters seemed to know where to go. They seemed to work together, and they were targeting specific locations all over Manhattan. And many stores today, you're walking through the streets, you can see
are being boarded up, glass everywhere, things taken from stores, from sneaker stores to electronic stores. So it was a really tough night for the city last night, having to deal with that. Many stores have, almost everything has been shut down here. And what was so at the end of the night last night, there was a small store, small shop owner who, it was just sad to watch. His entire store destroyed, and he was out there cleaning up the glass, trying to, just fix things up late in the night. And those were some of the things that we were seeing last night. And to be perfectly clear, and I think it's important, these looters are not the demonstrators. What we see today, it's beautiful, and it has happened. And on Sunday, the demonstrators, thousands were out walking the streets and marching, as we see here today. What happens at night is a very different story. The thing about last night was that it started happening much earlier. And the only thing that I thought about was, because they knew the curfew was coming at 11 p.m., and we were seeing so much looting by 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock. It was just unreal to watch, as people would take metal barricades that police had set up around the city and throw them to storefronts and city bikes, the rental bikes here in New York City. They were using those to shatter the storefronts, and then they would go inside and loot. And at one point, the police were just running around. All you heard for hours here last night, Brianna, were sirens, police sirens, them as officers were calling for assistance because they were being inundated with the looters all around Manhattan. So that was the scene last night. We heard from the governor today, who said that it was unacceptable. He's questioning the police response. I've talked to people at the NYPD sources, and they were out last night, and they're frustrated because they certainly feel like they are exhausted at this point, and they don't know how it's going to end. And then some are even asking for more help. Right now, there is no plans to bring in the National Guard. Certainly, the state police can help. There are really no plans to do that right now. So we'll see. We'll see what the strategy is tonight
So there is some deep, deep, deep economic hurt there that is contributing to, again, a number. So there is some deep, deep, deep economic hurt there that is contributing to, again, a number of things that we see. So the answer to that, and that Vice President Biden has put forth, is that we have to, yes, we have to address criminal justice in our public health system. Under his plan for Biden Care does that. We also have to address, though, the inequities that exist that have crippled communities from being able to create and build wealth. So under Vice President Biden's plan for Black America, he has put forth a wealth creation agenda that speaks to creating more home ownership, that speaks to small business. There are real options that can be applied here. And this plan that Vice President Biden has put forth, plan also our climate plan, because environmental justice, the most vulnerable, for our climate plan, because environmental justice hits the most vulnerable communities and people of color first and worst, as we've seen throughout history. These plans are foundational.
In November?
Well, look, I think, Christian, that we have to work to earn the votes of includes voters of color, that includes Black voters, Latino voters, Asian American Pacific Islander voters, and Native, Indigenous communities. We have to earn, doing the work to earn those votes. That's what Vice President Biden did in the primary. I will say we feel good about our prospects, and let me tell you why. For Vice President Biden became the presumptive Democratic nominee, for earlier to win for president have gotten behind him and said, we are supporting Vice President Biden. And these are just not endorsements on working to get Vice President Biden elected as president. Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Senator Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, the list goes on, Andrew Yang. And I think that's really Democrats across the board, regardless of where they sit on the spectrum, they have understood since the beginning of this primary process, frankly, that our opponent is Donald Trump. While there were many Democrats are everything we need to do to capture not just the White House this November, but win the Senate, hold our majority, elect folks across this country. But we have to do that state by state. So our campaign has really put forth a very targeted state by state effort. We're going to protect the places that we won in 2016. We're going to win back some of the places places that won in 2016. We're going to win back some of the places that we lost in 2016, but Democrats won in 2008 and 12. And we're going to expand the map in places like Arizona and Georgia, around state. But we have to, we want to win, and we are putting in the work.
Okay. Very lastly, is it time for him to announce a an African-American woman as vice?
Well, we have heard the concerns of voters across the country. We've heard the concerns of Black women, of noting that they would like an African-American woman to be named as Vice President Biden's running mate. We've also heard the concerns of Latino voters who have noted that they would like to see a Latina named as his running mate. We don't have any announcements to make yet. There's a process happening. We're going to let it play. Announcement sometime this summer.
I tried. Simone Sanders, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Now, let us cross the aisle and get the Republican viewpoint. Joining me is Scott Jennings. He is a conservative commentator. He has extensive experience working in Republican politics, a former special assistant to President George W. Bush, and he also worked as an advisor for Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. He joins me now from Louisville, Kentucky.
Just call 800-520-3805 now. Additional benefits may include free eyeglasses, free hearing aids, free meal delivery, free rides to medical appointments, and much more. Don't miss out on all of these additional Medicare benefits. There's no obligation to enroll. The call and Medicare benefits review are absolutely free. Just call 800-520-3805. That's 800-520-3805 now.
The ADT yard sign stands watch over your home and family with tested, trusted 24/7 protection. Now get our lowest rate for fast response monitoring starting at just $28.99 a month, about $1 a day. Call 1-800-ADT-ASAP.
Today, your information is exposed and vulnerable to cyber criminals. That's why Norton and LifeLock are now one. Get all-in-one protection on Norton.com.
Closed captioning brought to you by Mesobook.com.
Mesothelioma, it's all we do. 1-800-213.
We're looking at live pictures of a large, very large, peaceful protest there in New York City. This is in Lower Manhattan. Near One Police Plaza, so this is near the police headquarters there. Almost a sister protest is happening in Los Angeles as well, right? Almost a sister protest in Los Angeles as well, right near the police headquarters. But we're keeping an eye on what is a large, animated, peaceful, very diverse crowd as they are protesting through the city here. You see that scene, an embrace there among two of the protesters who appear to be friends. Let's talk about what's happening with Ron Johnson, former captain in the Missouri Highway Patrol. He took over security during the 2014 protest. I wonder, Ron, your pictures, right? I mean, I imagine this is what police want to see, right? Peaceful protests. They're walking by police headquarters. They are making themselves heard. I mean, there's the signs, the chants, just the sheer numbers here. And then you contrast this with what happened last night in Manhattan with the looting that clearly overwhelmed police. I want to get your thoughts on these two scenes.
You know, daytime we've got peaceful protesters. We saw that here in Ferguson. We're seeing that throughout the country. And they're protesting for change. At night, of course, we got rioters and people that are out there for self-gain. And so you have two different entities. But also know that during the daytime, some of those rioters are using the peaceful protesters as a shield, and they are actually injecting themselves within the crowds of the peaceful protesters.
And, you know, one of the things that the mayor has been criticized for, you know, what that the mayor has been criticized for is the fact that there was an 11 p.m. curfew last night, and we've heard our reporters say they were getting calls from their sources because this was appeared to be shifting the looting to earlier in the evening, that this was already happening well before the sun had gone down. Now tonight you've got an 8 p.m. curfew in New York City, but there are concerns that maybe this isn't even going to matter, that folks who are bent on looting and personal gain, as you said, are just going to ignore that curfew. Do you think an 8 p.m. curfew is going to work?
I think we've seen it work in some areas during this protest. In Ferguson, we tried it one night, and I spoke with the governor, and I said we can't enforce it. The rioters are still going to come out, and so we didn't do it but another night, but the one night. So I think that if you think that the rioters are going to go home and the looting is going to stop just because you put the curfew out there, in a sense, in some cases, it makes them come out more.
All right, if you can stay with me, Ron, now we've been coming back to it, Lee. And this is just a very large protest winding its way past One Police Plaza in Manhattan.
Yeah, Brianna, we're now way past One Police Plaza. We're actually now in Soho, walking through the streets. You could see cars here honking in support of the protesters, and just really everyone gathering and getting together. And we've now, the front of this protest is probably way into maybe several blocks. I'd say 15 blocks. And it's in the thousands, probably the largest demonstration that we've had here. And what's really interesting is the police are standing back, and as they have said, they would allow them to demonstrate, and they are demonstrating, and it has been peaceful. We're seeing all kinds of different signs, a very diverse crowd, young, older, all kinds of it's a very diverse crowd, young, older, all sorts of different people just getting together and trying to express their emotions and their anger and the change that they all want to see. I want to try and see if I can grab someone here to talk to us. Hi, we're live on CNN. Can I talk to you? Sure. Tell me, just express your feelings about being here and what this means for you to be able to do this out here on the streets of Manhattan.
Well, it's just like this anymore. And that's just not for everyone. We cannot live like this anymore, and we will fight until the end, until we can have our peace. No justice, no peace.
How important is it to have these peaceful demonstrations in the streets, to be able to march like this?
Every demonstration is important. I'm not going to say it's important to have the peaceful ones, and it's important until people know who we are. People see that people like this, DJ Henry, are important. George Floyd was important. Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown was important. These people are all important. Breonna Taylor was important. Atiana Jefferson was important. These people are important, and we can't forget about them. We can't forget about them.
Describe some of the emotions you've been feeling in all George Floyd and
DJ Henry happened at a small town in Westchester County. A police officer shot him in front of all of his classmates in front of university students. Then they turn their guns on those same university students. For 10 years, we've been fighting the same fight. 10 years of my adult life, I have been saying justice for insert name. It's been too long, and it's been longer than my 10 years. It's just too much.
Okay. Brianna, this is what a lot of people out here marching, protesting their feelings, talking about how they feel and the frustration that they have felt. And you can hear that in so many of the chants of Black Lives Matter and no justice, no peace. And they're continuing. We're now at Houston. We're now at Houston Street, Broadway. So we're walking, and this is probably going to go on for quite some time.
All right, and just to add to what the protester who you were talking to said about DJ Henry, there was not an indictment against anyone in the case, but the family accepted a partial settlement of several $1 million. Henry, who was an African American at Pace University. Shimon, so you said this is about 15 blocks long, and certainly, you know, one of the things I noticed when you were talking to the woman who, Jane Doe, as she said, she certainly didn't want to be identified, but she said she wasn't going to say.
I get that. I understand that.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that too. Honestly, her message was so important to hear. Her message was so important to hear. I guess you're just naturally curious to know who she is, to put a name to her message as well.
Yeah.
But she said she didn't want to say that the non-peaceful protests were less important, right? And this is something that I think there are observers of these protests, and they're trying to sort out kind of what is going on, what is different between the one that you're looking at now, which very peaceful. We've been watching one in Los Angeles as well that went by police headquarters there, very peaceful. And a lot of people are trying to understand as they watch what happens here during the day and then what they see happen in the evening. Give us a sense of what you're seeing there. You were observing well into the early morning hours what happened in New York last night.
We're not people who were trying to get. We're not people who get a message across. These are people who took advantage of a situation. They came to Manhattan and broke into many stores. I'm walking now here. We're in the Soho area. The Soho area was hit hard by looters. There are many stores that are boarded up. And that's what went on last night. It's very different than what we're seeing here. There are all sorts of ways, obviously, as she said, to protest. You know, I've covered other protests, you've covered protests, and what went on last night is much different than people expressing their anger or sitting in the street and getting arrested because they that I saw last night, where it was just criminal entities, I mean, organized fashion of people looting and breaking into stores and just running. I mean, really, the best way I could put it is just running wild. And as I said, many people on the streets were reporters. I was out there. There police and the looters, and all over Manhattan. Some were carrying bats and sticks. So much different. And here, because this really, it's a beautiful moment where people can get together and express themselves and describe what they're feeling. Because there is a lot of anger across the country. There's a lot of frustration. We're in the middle of a pandemic. There are other issues. And so this also gives an opportunity for so many people who've been in their homes for so long now, frustrated. People don't really know what's going to bring. And this gives them the opportunity to come together and express themselves. And I think this is the important stuff, of course. And what happened last night is sad, and it's painful, and it's difficult for people who live in this city and across the state to see what happened here. But, you know, this moment here is something that is great to see, right? And it gives all of these people an opportunity, for everyone here, to come out and come together, Brianna.
And Shimon, thank you for just walking us through this protest that is making its way north in Manhattan. We're there with you. It's amazing to be in the middle of this. Thank you so much. Stand by for us, Shimon. Obviously, this protest is going to be continuing on for some time. There are big crowds that are gathered there in New York, which you are watching. Also in Los Angeles, there's a big crowd in Washington. CNN is live from the middle of all of these protests. Stay with us for live special coverage.
Do you mind telling me why I'm under arrest, sir?
We have got to ensure that there is a safe spot for journalism to tell the story, because it is a key component of how we fix this.
My jawline is really starting to droop. I get a little bit of the... My jawline is really starting to droop. I get a little bit of the turkey neck.
That's right. No. Genucel jawline treatment tightens, defines your saggy jawline in minutes.
I have spent a lot of money and tried a lot of products, and nothing has really worked as well as Genucel.
Genucel's new jawline treatment with dual peptide and MDL technology, Chamonix's most advanced technology ever. It not only tightens saggy jawline, but it plumps the lipophilic layers of your skin to contour and look years younger. Click now to order Genucel brand new jawline treatment absolutely risk-free and get a second month for half price. Order now and you'll also get the breakthrough Genucel immediate effects for results in minutes. Go to Genucel.com now or call the number on your screen. That's Genucel.com. Genucel.com.
My home is my sanctuary. It's where I can just kick back and be totally comfortable in my own skin. You know what I'm saying? Rocket Mortgage understands that home is where I can be myself.
However you get comfortable in your home, Rocket Mortgage helps you feel comfortable financing one with a personalized experience centered around you. Rocket Mortgage. Push button, get mortgage.
At Custom Ink, we believe community is about having a common bond wherever you are. Now, when we need to stay apart to stand together, we've built new tools to make and individually ship custom gear to group members. And soon we'll stand together again. Visit CustomInk.com today.
We have a saying at US Foods. We help you make it. You, the independent restaurants of America. We've always got your back. But through all of this, you made it happen. You made our Friday nights. You even made us dessert. So to help you get back to full strength, we're giving away free reopening kits at our website so you can safely. From all of us, let us help you make it.
When we founded Tommy John, Tom was obsessed with how to make underwear truly comfortable.
So we reimagined comfort through fabric, fit, and function.
We use soft, breathable, lightweight fabric with stay-put waistbands that never dig and stretch where you need it. We made a women's line so comfortable, there are no visible panty lines and no wedgies, guaranteed.
For a limited time, go to TommyJohn.com right now to get 25% off site-wide. Plus, we'll ship it to your door for free. That's TommyJohn.com. Log on now.
Buy the Baxter bag for your next cleanup. Fill it with up to 3,300 pounds of household debris. Schedule collect 100 pounds of household debris. Schedule collect from Waste Management, we'll pick it up whenever you're ready. The Baxter Bag. Buy, fill, gone.
This is cellulose acetate, a plant-based material that's not only extremely durable, but also quite flexible, making it ideal for Warby Parker glasses, which, by the way, start at $95, including prescription lenses. Try 5 pairs for free at warbyparker.com. Oh yeah, about those prescription lenses. Warby Parker glasses come standard with custom-cut polycarbonate lenses that have been treated with scratch-resistant and anti-reflective coatings. Nice. Try 5 pairs for free at warbyparker.com.
Getting out of bed is, let's face it, kinda terrible. And at Bull & Branch, we don't make it any easier. Our 100% organic cotton sheets are so incredibly soft, your bed becomes your happy place. When you're cozied up in beautifully made, stunningly soft sheets, there's no place you'd rather be. Try getting out of Bull & risk-free for 30 mornings.
I'm Sarah Seidner in Minneapolis. This is CNN.
A new city-wide CNN White House correspondent Boris Sanchez is live for us. Boris, you are in Lafayette Park. This is adjacent to the White House. There are peaceful protesters there. And this is actually where peaceful protesters yesterday were pushed back before the curfew, and they were tear gassed. Tell us what you're seeing right now.
Well, right now, Brianna, the protest remains peaceful. In the last few moments, a big chunk of the crowd splintered off and followed officers. It looks like they're now starting to come back. The crowd's still pretty large, sizable, bigger than it was yesterday at this same time. And the crowd is mostly just chanting. I haven't seen any projectiles thrown. I haven't seen any of the line to break anything. They're really any overt signs of aggression that would lead to the response that we saw last night. So, as you said, about a half hour the curfew, law enforcement pushed people forcibly out of this area, spreading them across several different directions. We saw tear gas deployed. We saw people, journalists even pushed around by the police, all effectively so that President Trump could walk across the street here and go to St. John's Episcopal Church to stand outside with a Bible posing for cameras. A senior administration official has told us that the White House didn't orchestrate that to be a photo op. But just today, the official White House Twitter account and the Deputy Chief of Staff for Communications, Dan Scavino, have posted the video of President Trump walking across the street, effectively as promotion, both of those clips set to music. They may not be calling it a photo op. They're certainly treating it as one. Again, right now, things remain calm. All we've heard is chanting. These protesters getting down on their knees at different times, asking some of the law enforcement officers that are in riot gear on the other side of the fence to also take a knee. All the protesters got on the ground, can't breathe. I can't breathe. Of course, the fateful last words of George Floyd. Again, as of right now, things remain peaceful. I suspect this crowd is going to continue to grow as we get closer to that 7 p.m. curfew. We'll see how law enforcement responds then, Brianna.
What do you know about the fences? Because this is a new development there. These very tall fences in lieu of shorter barriers. And just to keep it in perspective for our viewers, Boris, you're still, I mean, you're quite a ways from the White House fence, right? So this is like, I'd say, I don't know, 200 maybe.
At the very least. Yeah, so I'm not sure how well you can see it. Obviously, there are many protesters and the fence is in the way. But Lafayette Park essentially serves as a place where feet tall. Yesterday got right up to them, effectively getting face-to-face with law enforcement at one point. This morning when we first arrived, we saw this much larger fence much further out, essentially blocking all access to Lafayette Park. This fence is about 8 feet tall. And the way that law enforcement today has handled the protesters has been differently than in previous days. earlier in the day, they weren't allowing protesters to get into the street. They were keeping them on the sidewalk. That obviously changed as more and more protesters showed up. Again, right now things are peaceful. We're going to keep an eye on it and see how things develops. Brianna.
All right, Boris, thank you for that report from Washington. From D.C. to Dallas, Los Angeles, we're seeing these large crowds that are protesting in the streets. CNN is live in the middle of it. Stay with us for our live special coverage.
Coronavirus. Stay informed with the facts. Join Dr. Sanjay Gupta. Coronavirus. Stay informed with the facts. Join Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
We truly are all in this together.
For CNN's new podcast, Coronavirus, Fact versus Fiction. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
We have a saying at US Foods. We help you make it. You, the independent restaurants of America. We've always got your back. But through all of this, you made it happen. You made our Friday nights. You even made us dessert. So to help you get back to full strength, for all you do, from all of us, let us help you make it.
It's only a matter of time until your check engine light comes on, or worse yet, your car needs repair. That could mean a big repair bill. Those repairs are more expensive than ever. A new engine can be over $5,000. A new transmission over $4,000. That's why it's so important you call CarShield today. CarShield is the #1 auto protection company in the country.
I like CarShield because they were reliable, they were affordable, and they were trustworthy.
Well, I think everybody should have CarShield. Once your manufacturer's warranty is expired, there's just no big bills. If we needed repairs, CarShield was there for us.
Now it's your turn to get the peace of mind that comes with having CarShield, so you can worry less about auto repairs. Call or go online right now to get CarShield for yourself. Friendly, knowledgeable, money-saving representatives are available 24 hours a day. So if your car is 20 years old or newer, just tell us the make and model of your car or truck to get an instant plan quote. In a matter of minutes, you can be covered.
I was elated that I had CarShield. I was more than happy.
It's no fun when you have a car and it's broken and you can't pay for it to get it fixed.
Here's how CarShield works. When your car needs repair, you take it to your favorite mechanic or even your dealer, and CarShield gets
Is going to go wrong with your car, and CarShield is going to be there to back you up.
My experience with CarShield is that they absolutely come through every time I need them.
If my car breaks down, I can count on CarShield to cover it. If my car breaks down, count on CarShield to cover it for me. CarShield definitely has my back.
Now it's the time to make the smart choice and protect yourself from sky-high auto repair bills. Call now for a free and instant protection plan quote. It's only a matter of time until repairs are needed, and once your car breaks down, it's too late.
Call 1-800-915-9597 or go to carshield.com. Get covered today.
Hi. Let's do this. I was training for the Olympics, and unfortunately I got injured and didn't make the team. I ate and drank everything in sight.
I did anything and everything that I thought would get me like that skinny, and it never worked.
And then I tried Noom.
And then I tried Noom.
Noom taught me how to change my habits a little by little.
They say it's based on a cognitive behavioral approach. I just say it works.
Visit Noom.com and lose the weight for good.
Carvana's had a lot of firsts. 100% online car buying. You in control of your finance. At Carvana, get personalized terms, browse for cars that fit your budget, then customize your down payment and monthly payment. And these aren't made up numbers. It's what you'll really pay, right down to the penny. Whether you're shopping or just looking, it only takes a few seconds and it won't affect your credit score. Finally, a totally different way to finance your ride. Only from Carvana, the new way to buy a car.
Closed captioning brought to you by Christian Faith Publishing. Tell your story and get your book published today.
Are you a Christian author with a book that you're ready to share? Are you a Christian author with a book that you're ready to share with the world?
Get published now. Call for your free publisher kit today.
1-800-552-2176.
We're keeping an eye here on New York. These are live pictures coming to us from Washington Square Park, it appears. Looting and untimed have left parts of American cities, including New York, wide swaths of Manhattan in ruins. According to my next guests, affecting change can happen, but not like this. This is what they write in a new op-ed. Former Ohio Governor Senator Nina Turner, a Democrat, write this in part, quote, "No one should take up violence to advance their cause, nor should anyone need to. We should all be able to turn to our system of justice to receive the protections we deserve. Yes, to our system of justice to receive what we deserve. Yes, we've got problems, but our system can work if leaders have the will and courage to simply acknowledge, make a case that community they can learn, they can create peace, because you've done it in your state of Ohio. Tell us about this."
We did, Brianna, and thank you for having both of us. Yeah, on the heels of the shooting of Tamir Rice, a young boy that was shot within less than 2 Brianna, and thank you for having both. Yeah, on the heels of the shooting of Tamir Rice, a young boy that was shot within less than 2 seconds from police arriving on the scene in 2004, right before Thanksgiving. And the governor and I had a conversation. I called the governor. I said, "Governor, we have to do something." And he said, "Come in." And I did. And the governor did not hesitate to create an executive order that created the Community and Police Relations Task Force and put folks on that task force from all walks of life, from community members, millennials, elected officials, non-elected officials, business leaders. And the first thing we did was travel all over the great state of Ohio so that people's voices could be heard. Because of that, people did not bubble over. Yes, there were protests, but there were no acts of violence because the governor acted. He acted swiftly, and we listened to the pain of the people. And then we took what was said, what we learned, that pain, and the governor signed another executive order that created a collaboration, and made it actionable.
That's what you're saying. You're saying, Governor, that the system can work if leaders, quote, acknowledge that pain of injustice. That's a quote. Listen and then act. So I want to ask you about how that works when you have a lot of protesters who look at a lot of police officers who, you see what has happened on camera, and so clearly to any reasonable person, it's an abuse of their authority and their, and yet they manage to get away with it. They don't suffer repercussions. They're so protected. There's a whole sort of system and protocols that protect them as police officers. You address this problem.
So I have to tell you, we had specific. Number one is that we had to define in each police agency what constituted the proper use of deadly force or the use of force. And all the police officers have to be trained to that standard. Most places didn't do that. They didn't have those kinds of standards, and I'll bet that's the case throughout the country. Secondly, we also forced the collection of data so that we knew when police officers appropriate way and they were discriminating. We also created a situation where the police officers and the community on it. We had the Republican for 4 days, and everybody was really on edge. But what happened is, because we gathered everybody together and we actually had programs that have been adopted by police departments all across Ohio, not one single window was broken in Cleveland for 4 days of a Republican convention, believe it or not. And so if I were the president today, and Nina were sitting right next to me, or she was president and I was sitting next to her, we would call the activists, we would call law enforcement, we would call the people that really understand exactly the issue that relates to civil rights. People have studied it an entire lifetime. And then we would come up with these standards. You need to tell police officers how they need to be trained, the use of force, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. You need to measure it. You have to have data. You have to integrate the police officers. All of these things send a message to people that we hear you. And what's missing now is the notion that the people in power, that this is a solution, Ohio, but this is a solution for America. And if everybody began to put into place a system that held people accountable, we would begin to see more peaceful communities, more together communities. That was the facts of what we found out here in Ohio. But we did not wait, we pushed, and we got it done.
And, you know, Senator Turner, listening to the both of you describe this, you know, this idea of how you could approach this in theory, it's beautiful, it's very nuanced, and it seems to really address how you listen to people, how you try to change the culture to people, how you try to culture. That is something, I mean, we're just not seeing that. So in the absence of leadership, Senator, on that, what do folks do? Not only these peaceful protesters, but I think even other folks who are not protesting peacefully, who are taking advantage of the situation and maybe rationalize it by saying that the system has taken advantage of them for so long that they don't really care.
Breonna, there's a rage, and we have to acknowledge that. To the governor's point, we acted swiftly. We didn't wait right away. We didn't wait for people to protest to realize that what happened to Tamir Rice was wrong. What happened to John Crawford as he was shopping in a Walmart near or outside of Dayton was wrong when he was shot while he was there. Somebody called the police, a white person called the police on him. It was wrong, and you have to acknowledge that law enforcement on that task force as well. And we all came together, myself and other of my colleagues, right now, so local leaders can do that right now. I am glad to hear some police chiefs across this country basically say, and I think it was Chief Roddy from the great state of Tennessee, who said that if you believe that what happened to George Floyd is okay, turn in your badge. That message needs to reverberate all over this country. So there does have to be consequences to this. And Breonna, I speak, his husband is a retired police officer, and my son is in law enforcement right now. This can be done on the local, state, and federal level, and we must right now acknowledge pain. Black folks in particular are tired of dying at the hands of white police officers and white people who do not respect their lives. This is a national crisis, and we can come together and do something about it, just as Governor Kasich, myself, and other leaders of the great state of Ohio have done.
And Breonna, we stand.
Leaders of the great state of Ohio have done.
And Breonna, we stand totally against the violence, the rioting. That's not acceptable. But the marching, the sit-ins, the things that demand that the system change is really important. And what I'm suggesting, and what Nina and I are both suggesting, is the president ought to will support it. Thank you.
This conversation has nourished my soul. Thinking about how they can act on a micro level if they feel that they're not. We really appreciate your words. We're watching now some protests unfold in Los Angeles. I want to go to CNN's Stephanie Elam, who is there. Okay, so Stephanie, take us through this. What is happening there? Okay, so Stephanie, take us through this. What is happening there as we see this peaceful protest behind you?
Where we are, Breonna, is right outside of the Los Angeles Police Department. So as you can see, there's a barricade here. You can see that the police are lined up on that side there, basically watching the protesters here who are now just starting to march here from outside of the police station. As you can see, it's of mixed race, mixed age. We see men, women, everybody is out here right now taking part of this with these signs. Very much controlled, very much peaceful. The energy here is calm. It's not a nervous energy like we have seen at other times when these protests have come out. It's very calm right now. I see different groups of people having discussions with each other about this, about their thoughts on how things are being handled, about what they think should be done. But as you can see here, they're just now starting to make their way up the street here outside of the LA Police Department. Many people taking time to make signs and standing there and holding them in front of the police officers that are out here to show them their frustration with what they believe is systemic. Now, you do see some people out here hugging, having dialogue, having conversation, but much of that playing out here in front of the LAPD station. But still, I have to point out that it does feel very calm out here. It feels very controlled. It does not feel in the last couple of days like that happening and the night before. So this feeling very controlled right now with these group of people who've come out here, in the middle of the day to protest and now marching away from downtown, further into downtown off of Main Street here in downtown Los Angeles.
I wonder over the days, Stephanie, if you've been able to talk to anyone who's engaged in these peaceful protests, like the one next to you, the one we're seeing in Washington, the one we're seeing in New York, and get their thoughts on how things do change at night. You see different folks come in, take advantage of the situation. What do they say about what that means? The folks who are, for instance, there today, do they tell you anything about what that means for them?
There's definitely frustration with this. I want to keep walking this way so we don't lose sight of them. But there's frustration, right? That a message that is clear after that video of George Floyd. This has galvanized people. And you're seeing a reaction in a different way. And so what we've heard from people, some people, is the frustration that here is a chance to really make a difference and really finally to get people to see that there is a difference with how black men are treated. And yet these looters are coming out and hijacking this moment with their behavior. There's frustration over that. But as you can see, there are a lot of people out here who are not deterred by that. They're still coming out here. They're still taking the time to walk out here. And again, I realize that this is Los Angeles, but you do see everyone out here. This is not just a monolithic group. And I know we're seeing that in other cities here, but there is some frustration. It's much calmer. I just saw pleading at someone in the crowd. They're definitely out here. Most of them do not have on helmets, so it's a much calmer interaction than we've seen in previous times. But we saw this in Ferguson when we were there, same thing, where you saw people who were upset that some people, a fraction of people, were taking advantage of a situation and not staying true to the message. Taking advantage of a situation, true to the message, Brianna.
Stephanie, thank you so much for taking us through this protest and bringing us along with you. Stephanie Elam in Los Angeles. And our coverage, our live coverage here on CNN will continue right now with Brooke Baldwin.
To this next hour. You've been watching breaking news really across the country as protests once again this afternoon are heating up. In New York City, protesters after demonstrating outside of New York Police headquarters in downtown Manhattan. This comes just hours after New York Governor Andrew Cuomo blasted the mayor, Bill de Blasio, and the NYPD for not doing enough to stop the looters the last couple of nights.
What happened in New York City was inexcusable. Well, the governor should use the National Guard in New York City. I've offered the National Guard. The mayor has said he can handle it with the NYPD.
So that's the story in New York. Let me show you some live pictures here above the streets of Los Angeles. Protesters are demonstrating peacefully outside of LAPD there. And in our nation's capital, we are seeing a large demonstration just outside the White House, less than 24 hours after those peaceful protesters were tear gassed. Remember, so that President Trump could walk over to the church by the White House for quite all. Boris Sanchez, let me start. Washington, you tell me what you're seeing. Is it peaceful?
Brooke, so far it has been peaceful. I'm just off to the right of the camera to give you an idea of what we're seeing behind this massive 8-foot fence that has been installed around Lafayette Park, the house. Protesters now lined up, pressed up against the fence, trying to send a message to these law enforcement officers. They lined up in this sort of ominous formation. At different points, they were much closer to the fence. It appeared that they were getting ready for some kind of movement. Then they started moving further back. The crowd here started clapping. It's still unclear exactly what this formation is for. Again, this massive 8-foot fence has done a pretty good job of keeping people out, and it does not appear that anybody's really eager to get into Lafayette Park. For the most part, this has been extremely peaceful. I haven't seen anybody throwing any projectiles, any threats. Get into Lafayette Park. For the most extremely peaceful. I haven't seen anybody throwing any projectiles, any threats being made to law enforcement. They've just been continuously chanting names like Breonna Taylor, like George Floyd. They've been trying to get these law enforcement officers to kneel in solidarity with their cause. They've laid down on the ground yelling, "I can't breathe." Again, unclear exactly what movement these, as they were lining up very close and then started backing away. The protesters here, again, chanting, but no clear aggressive movements toward police, Brooke.
Okay, and I see now that your PJ has pulled out a bit so we can see the military officers. Just so I'm clear, if you guys could pull out even further. So those military officers, that line of force, that is on the other side of this huge there at the White House? That's separating
Precisely,
them?
yes. So this is a fence blocking. Right, there's an enormous fence here. Then there are smaller barricades behind that and a police line that was put out. So they are relatively far from where we are right now. But as you can see, this line continues to get into Lafayette Park either. Interestingly, this is only on one side of Lafayette Park. I would say it's to the west, to the eastern side of Lafayette Park. And it's not, this military police isn't lined up completely through the park. It's just in one section of it. I'm not sure exactly what precipitated this, but it escalated in the last 10 minutes. And as you can see, some folks are pushing on the fence over there, but it doesn't look like the fence is going to give again. Yeah, and the chanting continues, Brooke. No real movements in the last few seconds from police. We'll keep an eye on it and let you know what happens next.
I'm going to stay with you, Boris, just because of these pictures and because of the protesters and the chanting. And I'm sure just obviously given what happened yesterday at the White House, right, having the president walk out among several other advisors and essentially having law enforcement, having military police, having the National Guard, firing those rubber bullets, emitting all the tear gas against the peaceful protesters as he, walks on over to that what was a photo op. That is just for folks, that is the backdrop of what we're looking at. And so to me, I imagine, having been in the middle of protests myself, these crowds, they're there. They want peace. They want their voices heard. They want peace. And to see this symbolic physical gesture with all these shields, well, you tell me. What are they saying about it?
Well, they're quite literally asking these officers why they have shields when they're enormous fence that was put up over yesterday's events. And you're absolutely right about what the president and law enforcement officers had happen here last night. Protesters were peaceful. It was well before that 7 o'clock curfew when tear gas canisters started raining on them, when they were violently pushed out of the way, really so that President Trump could walk across the street, stand in front of a church, and hold a Bible. Of course, we know from speaking to sources at the White House that he was angry all day at reports that over the weekend on Friday night, he was tucked away underground in a bunker at the White House as protesters were clashing with police right at his doorstep at the White House. The president wanting to flex his muscle, wanting to show that he's in control despite clear evidence that the country is in agony and that there is unrest in just about every corner of the United States. The president today on Twitter further aggravating the situation, talking about dominance, talking about overpowering the people who, again, were peaceful yesterday at the White House.
Yeah.
I spoke to one young man who goes to Howard University in this area. He says that was like a slap in the face to him. Further, religious leaders who have spoken that church, St. John's Episcopal Church, right outside the White House. They were effectively saying that religion is not a prop, Brooke.
What do we want, justice? When do we want it now? I'm just listening to these protesters. And as you've been speaking, Boris, my phone's been buzzing. I'm here in New York City, and, you know, I just got one of those emergency alerts, 8 p.m. Eastern. What's on you, Boris, in these pictures? What's the story with the curfew in Washington?
Well, it was put into place. A curfew of 7 o'clock yesterday was put into place. It was renewed for at least the next 2 days. But as we saw, law enforcement officers outside the White House didn't wait until 7 o'clock to go after the protesters that were out here. Earlier today, when we got here, this fence was put up. They were treating the protesters that were here differently. They weren't allowing them to even get on the street. They were forced to be on the sidewalk, even as traffic was closed in this area. Eventually, when the crowd grew big enough, they were allowed onto the street. We did see a bigger law enforcement presence than usual. We saw FBI agents, there was Secret Service, there was Park Police, and obviously the military police that's out here right now holding up shields in some kind of a formation, though there is no apparent threat from these hundreds of people that are lined up behind an 8-foot fence yelling and screaming for justice, Brooke.
Final question for you, and then we'll pivot to our crew in New York City with the peaceful protesters there. But can you do me a favor? I appreciate seeing the military police, but can you get your photo to just pan left so we can also just appreciate the crowd, the protesters, the scene, and if you can help give us, I know it's tough because you're tucked in this corner. Just don't do it.
Y'all didn't sign up for this! Don't do this!
Y'all didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, they've repeatedly yelled at these officers, asking them, who do you protect? And they've also, just before we got on with you, they were asking them why they were here, why they felt that they made a necessary choice to be here and line up this way as aggressively as they are in this defensive position. So as you look at the crowd, it spans the rest of this block, several hundred people out here, way more people here right now than there were at this point. Still about 4 hours away. I suspect this crowd is going to continue to grow, Brooke.
Boris Sanchez, we appreciate you. Stand by for me. We're going to pivot around to a couple other cities. So much. Let's go west. CNN Stephanie Elam. She is there in Los Angeles where these protesters have been demonstrating. That's police headquarters. And so we were talking curfew. The curfew for everyone in LA County starts at 6 p.m. Pacific. Stephanie Elam.
You're right, Brooke. My phone just went off. The curfew here in Los Angeles is at 6 o'clock again here tonight. Beverly Hills at 1 o'clock Pacific time. So you're seeing different cities within the county react differently. But this protest here, where I am right now, Brooke, they just marched from the Los Angeles Police Department, which is down and around the corner, here to City Hall. It's a very mixed group of people who are out here. I just spoke to one woman who's out here with a sign, and I asked her if this was the first time that she's come out to a protest like this. And she said it was. And she said that she just had a reaction to that video that we saw of George Floyd and just felt she had to do something. She just felt that she needed to come out here, and if she didn't say anything, she was being silent and therefore complicit. And we see a lot of signs here that speak to that exact sentiment. I mean, you're seeing a lot of people of all races with signs up here that say Black Lives Matter. This woman in front of us who's painted the back of her jacket. That is the breaking point for causes them to come out here and to be a part of this protest in the middle of the day, right? In the middle of a pandemic. So most people out here with their masks on, as you can see, but still standing here, chanting. Someone starts to chant, everyone else on, as you can see, but still chanting. Someone starts to chant, everyone else gets involved in it. And to basically time in Ferguson, Missouri, I felt the difference when it was a very tense standoff, and when you felt that energy change between the police and also the protesters. That's not the way it feels out here. Calm, relaxed energy that is coming from the police department right now, from the officers that are out here on the street. They're definitely out here. It's clear that they're there, but they're calm. And this keeps men, women, everybody taking part in this outside of it. I mean, right now they're chanting prosecute killer cops, again, pointing to what we have seen with George Floyd and what is happening there. But yes, a lot of that. And you know what else I'm seeing a lot of too, are a lot of white people here holding up signs that say end white. And if you're being silent, you're being speak up or you're part of the problem. I'm seeing a lot of that here today too, bro.
No, I appreciate all of those details, and I saw one of those signs that white silence equals violence, and so I got you. Forgive me. So they started at LAPD. Silence equals violence. You forgive me. So they started at LAPD, and then you are there at City Hall. And Stephanie, just if I can get you to. You know, we have covered, sadly, through the years, so many deaths of Black and brown Americans. And I have been asking a number of people.
Never seen anything like this, to be honest. In all of the protests that we have covered, bro, I've never seen it where you're seeing police officers kneeling with the protesters. Now, there are a lot of people who are saying, we don't want you to just kneel, we want you to change. Kneeling is great, but do more, right? I even saw that, like that blue talk about, the fact that people would not break ranks. This is different because those officers, and one in particular, on Mr. Floyd's neck, has been a visceral response again among many police officers, and they were quick to condemn it. I don't remember seeing that in any other time in any of these other protests that I've covered. I haven't seen that. So this feels different in that way. Now, while I say that, I can also tell you that there are a lot of people who are concerned it's lip service, and they want there to actually be a change in how the policing is done, how Black men are perceived and viewed, and how they are approached, and how those conversations and those interactions go. I mean, I think you could ask almost any Black man, they will tell you that they've had an interaction that has felt less than comfortable. No matter where they come from, no matter their zip code, no matter how wealthy they are, all of that. And that is exactly what they're speaking to here. That is what they're concerned about, is that there needs to be is different than anything I've seen before. Is different than anything I've seen.
It gives me just an ounce of hope to hear that, to hope. Maybe not our lifetimes, but that of our children. That real comes from all of this. Stephanie Elam, thank you so much for your beautiful reporting there in Los Angeles. Again, you are watching CNN, live pictures here. Here you go, New York City. We promised got you covered. LA, Washington, New York City, where protesters started. Downtown, New York Police headquarters have headed northward. From my understanding, majority peaceful, but we have to talk about the last couple of nights and the looting. Governor Cuomo this morning saying he's disappointed and outraged about what happened in New York City last night. We'll go to Shimon Prokopez right after this quick commercial break.
On the award-winning WW app, you can take a personal assessment to get a customized plan.
The assessment takes into account the things that matter to you the most. I've lost 101 pounds. It's incredible.
Get the WW Triple Play. Offer ends June 8th.
Same time. Introduce Sonic Fusion. Clinically proven twice as effective as regular brushing and flossing. Go online or ask your dental professional about Waterpik Sonic Fusion.
Find things that bring you joy. Find things to remember. Find connect. You can find it all if you just know where to look. Shop Etsy. Find joy.
They are compelled to step forward to the front lines and into the unknown for all of us. And into the unknown for all of us.
How about poor Fred Wilson?
What a shame. So soon after retiring.
I hear his wife needed help with the funeral expenses.
That's ridiculous. He had Social Security.
When my brother died, his wife received a check from Social Security, all right, for $255. The funeral costs were well over $8,000. How on earth did she pay for it? Fortunately, my brother bought additional life insurance before he retired.
I bet that cost a pretty penny, huh?
Not with Colonial Penn. Coverage options start at just $9.95 a month. Well, less than 35 cents a day. I have it myself.
We both do.
Both of you?
Neither of us had to answer any health questions or take a physical exam. In fact, no one our age can be turned down for any health reason.
Your rates go up every year, right?
No, not at all.
Friends keep telling friends about guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance from Colonial Penn Life Insurance Company. For any reason. And your benefit simply because you grow older. Options start at just $9.95 a month. To find out more, call now.
Call now and you'll also get this free beneficiary planner and this free prescription savings card. Call 1-800-646-1600 for your free information and 2 free gifts. There's no risk. That's 1-800-646-1600. Call now.
Managing type 2 diabetes? You're on it. Exercising often and eating healthy? Yep, on it there too. You may think you're doing all you can to manage type 2 diabetes and heart disease, but could your medication do more to lower your heart risk? Jardiance can reduce the risk of cardiovascular death for adults who also have known heart disease, so it could help save your life from a heart attack or stroke. And it lowers A1C.
Jardiance can cause serious side effect that may be fatal. A rare but life-threatening bacterial infection in the skin of the perineum could occur. Stop taking Jardiance and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of this bacterial infection, ketoacidosis, or an allergic reaction. And don't take it if you're on dialysis or have severe kidney problems. Taking Jardiance with a sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar.
Lower A1C and lower risk of a fatal heart attack?
On it with Jardiance.
Ask your doctor about Jardiance.
Cover it up. That's what I do. Now I use Keeps. Wait for me to keep my hair. Keeps sends me clinically proven treatments that can't stop my hair loss, which means no more covering up. Go to Keeps.com to learn more.
You are seeing rocks being thrown and that being met with tear gas.
This is a much different scene than what we saw last night.
The tensions go up. It is increasingly worrisome.
Do you mind telling me why I'm under arrest, sir?
Welcome back to the breaking news. You're watching CNN. I'm Brooke Baldwin. We have been covering these various peaceful protests all across the country. We've taken you to Washington. We've taken you to Los Angeles. Now let's go to New York City, where this group has been there. I see that beautiful arch, Washington Square Park. So you're Greenwich Village, Shimon Prokopez right there. So you have started at New York Police Headquarters downtown, heading north. Talk to me first about the protest, and then we'll talk about what's been going on the last couple of nights.
You know, Brooke, I think this is a march, really. You know, this is a march, really. You know, people are just together, walking through the streets together, chanting. You're hearing Black Lives Matter now. We've heard George Floyd's name. We've heard other names of people who've died at the hands of police. We were just leaving Washington Square Park. There was a moment of silence there, and everyone is just together. You know, it is a peaceful demonstration. It really is a march. People holding signs. What's really interesting also to watch is the neighborhood and how they've come out to support. A lot of people have been cooped up in homes. There you see a woman there waving. But a lot of people cooped up in their homes, and they've come to their windows in some cases to bang pots and pans to show their support of these marchers as they go through the street marching, and you're hearing no justice, no peace now. And everyone have been wearing masks. People giving out masks, giving out water, giving out food, and you know, they're just continuing to march. We're now heading north through here. You see water and snacks being given out, And that's what we're seeing here. It's very peaceful. It's beautiful to see, I have to tell you, after what I witnessed last night, seeing this, really, it's a good feeling, because what went on last night was so awful, and you can tell that everyone here.
Let me jump in, Shimon. Let me ask you about that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about that. Right, this is necessary change. Now, the issue has been, and we listened to the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, this morning, just talking about, as you were alluding to, the last couple of nights in New York City have been awful. Awful. So totally separate from these peaceful folks we're seeing here have been looters. I've witnessed looting with my own eyes, and to see it continue night after night, it enrages people in this city. And I'm trying to understand, New York City Police Department is 35,000 strong. They need help.
Yeah, I talked to officers who were out on the street last night, who were in the thick of it, who say today they're exhausted. Another night like last night, I don't think they'd be able to really handle it. I mean, it was really chaos, nothing like we're seeing today. And they were not demonstrating, nothing like we're seeing, and they were not demonstrators. We need to be clear about that. These were criminal elements, people who got together in some fashion, whether it's through social media, whether it's through some other channels of communications. We've heard a lot that these groups have been communicating in encrypted apps. It's possible, but they were organized. I saw them getting out of cars, on scooters, on bikes, walking together. I saw people with duffel bags. They came prepared.
Oh, yeah, they did.
To loot merchandise. So it was also a scary scene at moments, because people were walking around with bats and sticks, and the police, there was a curfew. The curfew was at 11 o'clock, and the police were just letting them walk the streets. And that was the scene playing out all across Manhattan, where reporters.
But I hear you on the fact that these police officers are exhausted, but they need help. Are they going to get help? Are they going to get backup tonight?
I mean, it's going to be officers. Outside help, unlikely, right? We've heard the mayor say absolutely no National Guard. They could bring in state police. That's not going to happen. The NYPD is very good at this, so we'll see. Do they change their tactics tonight? They just shut certain, and that's a good question. Why didn't they? Why didn't they prevent access in certain areas? I don't know. Maybe that is something they will do tonight. I will say to you, when I was on Fifth Avenue last night around Trump Tower, there were a lot of police there. Around St. Patrick's Cathedral, a lot of people, a lot of police officers. So they're going to have to change their tactics. And one final point, I think it just seemed to me that the police were caught off guard by how organized they were. They downtown. They were going to be uptown. But I don't think they expected them to be so organized. But again, like you said, that is one part of the story. But what's going on here, I don't want to lose sight of this. The other parts of this are important, and it's important to distinguish between this group and what went on last night. Because last night they were criminals who came here to do exactly what they did, as you saw yourself, Brooke.
No, I appreciate you making that distinction. I made that distinction. I think folks at home, they're making that distinction. It's just all part of the story that is New York City. Shimon Prokopez, to you and crew, thank you. Let's talk about all of this with our law enforcement analyst and former Philadelphia Police Commissioner and former Chief of Metropolitan Police in D.C., Charles Ramsey. Commissioner Ramsey, let's just begin. Nice to see you, by the way. Let's just begin with what I was talking terms of, police force that is NYPD, right? This is a city where there are cameras everywhere. How is it that looters have managed to destroy so much of this city, including the iconic Herald Square Macy's?
Well, they need help. And I heard that the mayor does not want to call up the National Guard. I think that could be a mistake.
Is that
the National Guard
irresponsible?
would do. Well, what the National Guard would do is backfill positions to free up more NYPD. Backfill positions to free up more officers. They have to be more mobile. I don't know if CNN covered this, but in Philadelphia a few years ago, we had a problem with what we called flash mobs. Groups of teenagers that would use social media, they would gather suddenly at a location, go on a rampage through Macy's, Apple Store, what have you, and we had a hard time keeping up with it. This is more sophisticated than that, and it's happening on a much larger scale. The only way you can really effectively respond is if you are highly mobile, both in passenger vans, 15-passenger vans, bicycles, and the like, to try to keep pace. New York is a big city, and what they do is they go where they think the police aren't. In order to be that mobile and have that many people available for mobile deployment, you've got to be able to backfill positions. You mentioned Trump Tower and the cathedral. I mean, you don't have to have policemen there. That's what you could use the National Guard for that and other locations around.
And they've moved up, New York City's moved up the curfew. Last night it was 11 o'clock. Right. Tonight it's 8 o'clock. But you know what? I mean, again, I saw some of these looters. The sun, sir, had not even gone down. It's like, do we think they even give a you-know-what about curfews?
No, they don't care anything about the time. But I think the advantage of pushing it up, 11 o'clock, first of all, was way too late because it's already dark. 8 o'clock. This is when helicopters, drones, things like that would be very useful to police because you could monitor crowd movement a lot easier from the air looking, anticipate the directions in which they're going, and have your resources deployed strategically throughout the city and respond very rapidly. Because this is continuing, and this is what, the 8th day? That makes it highly unusual to begin with, to have something like this last this long with this many people involved, and more and more diverse, but also your agitators are really, really starting to take over.
Yeah. I want to ask you, Commissioner, about Washington, D.C. I was just talking to our correspondent, Boris Sanchez, right? So he's posted up at Lafayette Park, which I know you know well, right there at the White House. Here you go. And so we see this video of this whole line of military police, shields, the whole nine, lined up. On the other side of this fence is this huge crowd, block after block after block of these peaceful protesters. And the protesters, understandably, they feel that they're, I don't want to put words, but we were listening to some of the protesters. They just didn't understand why these on guard position. Do you provocative?
It is provocative, and it's all about the optics of that. I spent almost 9 years as police chief in Washington, D.C., working with the U.S. Park Police and all the different agencies, numerous agencies that operate inside the District of Columbia. The Park Police are usually very, very good at dealing as a skirmish line. I know someone what the formation was. But they're intentionally using military and not park police for that. They want it to look different. I think that is coming probably right out of the White House, that they want that show of what they believe is strength. Why would you use military for soldiers? You got an 8-foot-high fence there. You're not letting anybody in Lafayette Park. I mean, you can have them on standby somewhere if you think you need them, but they don't need to be invisible like that. I think that is being provocative, and I think it's intentional. I think they want the image to be military on the ground in Washington, D.C., taking control. And I think it can backfire very easily. I don't like what I'm looking at when I see that.
We're going to keep a close eye on it. I don't either. Charles Ramsey, thank you so much. I know you have many years in Washington, D.C. And quick break here. Live pictures again. Peaceful let's just call it a march. There heading north city. Folks want change. We'll be right back.
Still up. Because they're taking you out of the break.
Retirement is protected. Lifetime income from an annuity can help your retirement plan ride out turbulent times. Learn more at protectedincome.com.
Of your immune system is located in your gut. By keeping your gut healthy, you keep your immune system healthy. Try Align Daily Immune Support to help naturally support your gut health and boost your immune system. Formulated with a quality probiotic strain, Align helps power your health from the inside. It adds more good bacteria to your gut, which works naturally with your body to help strengthen your immunity. For a daily boost for your health, take a strengthen your immunity. For a daily boost, Align every day with a money-back guarantee. Also try Align gummies to help support gut health and a strong immune system.
Want to eat better while staying in? Meet Freshly. We're here to help with chef-cooked meals ready in minutes. Skip the shopping, cooking, and cleaning, and get meals delivered fresh, not frozen, right to your door. Build your weekly menu today at freshly.com.
It's a new day for veterans all across America. Mortgage rates have now fallen to all-time lows. That's good news for veterans with VA loans.
That's me.
By using your VA Streamlined Refi benefit, one call to New Day USA can save you no income verification, no appraisal, out-of-pocket costs.
That's me. Put your VA home loan benefits to good use. Call my team at New Day USA.
Call 1-888-9.
Don't do it. Don't you dare. I don't think so. It's okay, big fella. We're going to get through this together. Nice rip, Robbie.
When you bundle home and auto insurance through Progressive, you get more than just a big discount.
I'm going to need you to leave.
You get relentless protection.
During this crisis, millions of Americans have lost their jobs, leaving many feeling stressed and anxious. And most of us just don't know how to deal with it. But we can try by taking time to look after our minds. Headspace is now free for everyone in America who's lost their job, to help you get back on your feet. Headspace can't fix everything, but it can help you cope with today and whatever tomorrow brings. Be kind to your mind at Headspace.
When life interrupts, one thing never changes: the importance of your child's education. K-12 knows what it takes to do public school at home. Teachers who inspire.
Welcome. How are you today?
Curriculum that engages. Meeting families where they are.
He has a lot of challenges, and this school lets him fly.
Help with K-12 at any one.
Fact: Emily hasn't bought groceries in weeks. So how is she creating this masterpiece? Her freezer is stocked with Daily Harvest. That's how. Chef-crafted food, organic ingredients, delivered to your door, ready in minutes. Go to dailyharvest. Started today.
Coronavirus. Stay informed with the facts. Join Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Are all in this together.
His new podcast, Coronavirus, Fact versus Fiction. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
I got this mountain bike for only $11.
DealDash.com, the fair and honest bidding site. An iPad worth for less than $16 or television for less than $2.
I won these Bluetooth headphones for $20.
I got these 3 suitcases for less than $40.
And shipping is always free.
Go to DealDash.com right now and see how much you can save.
ThredUp presents the cure for the common closet.
I know that sigh. You're suffering from common closet. Not common closet.
closet. But fear not, I have the cure. It's called ThreadUp.com. It's the world's largest online thrift store with all of your favorite brands at incredible prices. Check out this J. Crew dress, $14. Boho weekend look, $25. You can pick your favorite colors, styles. $25. You can pick your favorite styles, brands, and voila!
Enter code NEW for up to an extra 50% off your first order at ThreadUp.com.
I'm Stephanie Elam in Los Angeles, and this is CNN.
On the left side of your screen, in D.C. on the right. Folks, this is a beautiful thing we're seeing around the country today. Peaceful protests. I know you see the military police on the right side of your screen, but again, I want to underscore peaceful protests and marches across the city you're in. New York City has moved up to 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. Massive march there through Manhattan is underway. Similar scene as you can see in the LA. Washington, D.C. crowd is certainly building near the White House, which brings me to this. Disbelief, outrage, and condemnation after peaceful protesters gathered outside the White House yesterday. Look at this. Grenades. And it was President Trump could stand outside of this historic church. Here you have it. Be described. He didn't go inside and worship as U.S. presidents have done at this neighborhood church for more than a century. Nor did he give a warning to church officials at the sanctuary that he was going to do that. A reverend who was forced from the building telling CNN that she was disgusted by the move and that President Trump had turned the area into a quote-unquote literal battleground. Her anger shared by the Bishop of Washington's Episcopal Diocese as well as the city's mayor. Listen to this.
This was a charade that in some ways was meant to bolster a message that does nothing to calm the soul and to reassure the nation that we can recover from this moment, which is what we need from a president.
We were very shocked and quite frankly outraged that people who were not violating the curfew and who did not seem to have provoked attack